Hello, chat. Hope everyone's doing good. I love how the background messes up when I go between windows like that. It's so funny. Oh, whoops, I forgot to turn off the Fuji tag.
Oh my god, did you see my new Fuji?
I
did
do
you see
your Fuji.
It's really good.
Alright, so chat, before we start, I'm not doing this video today, but we will be doing it another day. I just kind of wanted to show it to you guys really quick. So I have to say this because it threw me for a loop when somebody posted this in my Discord server. This video is about the Monster Girl Encyclopedia, and she she opens the video saying it is the most incel-laden piece of media she's ever seen, and repeatedly rants about how cringe and gooner it is, and how it's so bad and you shouldn't read it. I will give you all 0 guesses to how this video actually starts. Is that what you expect on a video that's about to tell you that your interests are...
It's so cringe.
You're about to watch a video that's going to tell you that gooners are cringe and that being attracted to monster girls is incel bait.
That's some coke if I've ever heard of it.
I want to do that one later this week. I might do it by myself on a shorter day because it's only like a 15-minute video. It's actually really short. But it's... I was sent that and I was lost, bro. Also, I had several people in Discord say that, like, she looked terrible. Not chat. That's an absolute smash material.
Wait, is this the person that was mad about the last one you watched last week?
Well, no, she only has like a... Here's the thing. Definitely don't go to, like, mess with her because she's literally like a 99 sub channel. And I feel really, really bad when people, like, go to, like, these really small channels that don't have many followers and start giving them shit. So definitely, more so than other people, don't give her shit. Because I don't like doing that to, like, really small creators. But you put your material out there on the internet, I feel like I have a right to talk about it.
I'm putting the hoodie on for the day to weather this storm.
But today's is more morality stuff, yes. She had put out a video called I'm Worried About Cancel Culture. Think about the video we watched from her last week. And then think about her saying, I'm worried about cancel culture.
Wasn't she trying to cancel people?
Pretty
I'm so
much.
confused.
Like, she'll say she's not, but then she's like, I'm not trying to cancel them. I'm just saying they're pedophiles. It's like, that's not how that works. It's not how you don't do that.
Oh, also, Sabo won Loli of the Year.
I heard.
She's doing better, I hope. She's still sick all the time.
I remember when Natalie X Hunter covered her shit once upon a time. But, oh, sorry, I meant to do this. Here you go, Ryan.
Thank you.
I'm trying to use more Watch Together.
No, I was doing that with Kendra. It works a bit better as well. I'll just pick my own name. Now, Watch Together is nice.
Lumi and Kendra should be back next week. They've just been, you know, away.
I think I am busy next week anyway, so...
Anyways, let's go.
About problematic media. Content warning mentions and discussions of the sexualization of children, child pornography, pedophilia, death threats, rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, and transphobia.
One of these things just doesn't belong here.
One of these things is not like the other.
It's just read through all of those, and then at the very bottom is just transphobia. It's like, do you know what else you put on that list?
What an odd thing to say.
Is this really, like, in your opinion, as high up on the list as all those other things?
Apparently.
I'm going to be talking about some of these issues at length, and I'm going to try and not show anything graphic, but I may have to include a few shots of anime or manga of children being sexualized in the beginning section, so please be warned of that. So, my last video on child-coded character design ended up being... to say popular because that feels wrong, but it did receive a larger response than I am used to. First of all, I did receive a lot of comments from people being genuinely happy that I talked about this, and to all those people, thank you. I am touched beyond belief, and I'm not exaggerating when I say
we call this confirmation bias. Sort of confirmation bias.
I feel like there was like 10 people that said it.
Well, now it's only that these days.
Oh, people just like going, oh, it was such a good video, right?
Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, there were so many people that agreed with me, many people, the best people, love them all, fantastic people even. Like, no, you want the disagreement. You want the people that are asking questions about the shit you said. If you were doing media criticism.
But,
I'm not saying you should expect it, because the reality is a lot of people find videos that they want to watch because they like them. People like us seeking out content they don't like is actually quite rare.
Not normal.
But when you do start getting disagreement, you should be like, okay, I've stepped into a controversial topic. That means there's more stuff to discuss here than just what I think needs to be discussed.
Yeah.
Say that your kindness and support makes this all worth it. And to the audience of people who did not agree with me, well, okay. I originally wanted to put this part at the end of the video, but I don't think the people who disagree with me will actually engage with this video for long enough to get to the ending, because they certainly didn't with the last video. So here is my follow-up statement to the Dragon Maid video.
There is nothing you said at the end of that video that, like, mattered for somebody to watch it to the end. I watched it to the end live on stream. There was nothing new at the end of it, other than you saying, oh, don't go, like, actually report them to the FBI guys. Like, yeah, they're pedos, but, like, it's not the same level of pedo as, like, a real pedo. That's not good for you. You still look like a dick.
Weren't they only mad because essentially it wasn't the most wholesome Chungus thing in the world?
Well, they were mad because Kana got sexualized, even though the video tried to portray itself as talking about the controversy around Aruru.
Yeah, it was in... I remember that.
Yes. I know it seems silly to keep talking about this and like I'm wasting my time, but I genuinely want to believe that most of the people who disagreed with me are not acting with malicious intent, but are just simply misinformed or maybe a bit confused.
That is always a horrendous way to go into a discussion.
Yeah, you want to assume that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, like people get this messed up where they're like, well, I'm not assuming they're evil, so I gave them a fair shake. You didn't assume they're evil, but you still assumed they were stupid. That's not giving somebody a fair shake. You have to assume that both they are doing something for the right reasons and with good intent. Not that they have good intent but the wrong reasons. Because then he just fucks it up. I had to explain this a lot to people with like politics, right? Because this is something that's way more prevalent in like political discussions, where people absolutely refuse to assume the other side has good intent and good reasons. They assume either they have bad intent or that they don't know what they're talking about, which is why they believe what they believe.
Yeah.
And that's not how that works. She's already fucking it up, and we just started.
If you are willing to take the time to actually listen to my side and then you still disagree with me, then that's all I can ask.
I did.
Because there is no conversation at all if you're not even willing to engage in the first place. So before you start writing a comment on this video, I want you to really take some time to think critically about which side of this argument you want to land on. The reason I brought up the author of Rurouni Kenshin not facing jail time or even being fired for his position,
even though he has never drawn any lolicon content, and every single person that defends him has also not drawn lolicon content.
Yeah, it's exclusively the opposite. Yeah.
Like, I understand why you're trying to latch onto this so hard. He did not draw any lolicon content, and he was not caught with a bunch of lolicon content. And most of his friends in the industries also don't do lolicon content. They could not be more divorced from the specific thing you were complaining of if you tried, as far as like mangakas and anime creators go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it's literally the worst possible situation. It's nothing to do with lolis.
Yeah.
It never is.
Well, the thing is, if you look through a mangaka's entire creative history and you threw a dart at it, there is a non-zero chance to hit lolicon content. Which is why it's so hilarious that these people will die on the Rurouni Kenshin author on this hill, because him and all of his friends are some of the only people in that entire industry that you could like shotgun a wall of their content and you would literally never see anything lolicon related.
Yeah.
It's just something they don't do. Oh, it's so weird.
Possession of roughly 100 DVDs of real child porn, like not anime,
Wait, can we point the fact that
children, was because he is not the exception to the rule in Japan. He's kind of the standard.
Well, okay. So can we point out the fact that one, he's not, and two, that she actively had to make the point. She clearly knows the difference.
Well, I also have to point out, and I mentioned this sort of in the last one, I don't want people to get it twisted when I say this, right? Japan genuinely did not know what to do with him. Because he was not the standard, he was quite literally the first. And maybe not the first, but the first like major name attached to it. And the reason he was the first is because they had recently changed the law to up the required age to be involved in that sort of content. And at the time when he bought that media, it was not illegal to have. They increased the age. Now it is illegal to have. And they were kind of stuck in court in Japan in a rock and a hard place. Where they were like, well, it wasn't illegal when he bought it, but we made it illegal now. So is it fair to punish him when it was still illegal when he got it?
Right.
And
is it fair to punish retroactively?
That was why his punishment was so light. Was not because, we're fine with like all this material being up and around. They quite literally aren't. They made it illegal. But at the same time, they're like, can we realistically punish them when it was illegal when they got it? And that's the thing. He was one of the first. He was not setting the precedent. He was testing he specifically wasn't testing. His court case was a test for the Japanese court to try and figure out how are they going to handle previous legal content that is now illegal, not future illegal content that was definitely illegal when it was made.
Right, because it's genuinely just you agree with him or not, you can't. It's not fair to retroactively do something like that to just in someone gets screwed over because of it.
Yeah, it put them in a weird situation, and that's why the last time I said in the comments of the last video that it was more complicated than she makes it sound. She makes it sound like he was just a blatant criminal, and then Japan just gave him a slap on the wrist because they don't give a shit. That's not how this situation played out. It was a very complicated situation, and the courts weren't 100% sure how to deal with it at the time. because it was a very new issue for them.
Yeah.
Possession of child pornography only became totally illegal in Japan in 2015. Charges for possession include imprisonment for up to 1 year and being fined up to 1 million yen, which is just under 9,000 US dollars. He was fined 200,000 yen, or less than $2,000. To everyone who commented about the sexualization of child care,
I want to check this real quick because she's going to complain about this for a minute. So I should probably go ahead and just get like a thing out of it for it. So in America,
Also, was it when she mentions that the law there? I added a statement, but I was waiting for it to finish. Or a question for. Oh wait, I can pull it back a second.
so in America, for a first offense of owning that kind of material, the maximum time you can get in prison is 10 years, and there is no minimum time. So you can get exactly 0 days in prison for possession in America.
Oh, also, wasn't it because she mentioned it was it wasn't illegal at the time, but it was the it's a statement she said there. I just lost it. Can I pull it back?
The
Where do you want to go?
Well, and the only other thing is, in America, apparently there is a minimum charge of $3,000 per victim involved.
Fair.
So she's trying to say, like, this is, like, some uniquely low amount. But I have to tell people, America is actually one of the stricter countries when it comes to this. And they're pretty damn close to us. And we can argue if it's good or bad where we have it set at. But you can't argue Japan is uniquely light on it when they're actually pretty close to the kind of worldwide standard.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were you going to say?
I had to pull it back a second to figure it out here. Okay. Yeah, it's just right there. It became illegal to do it. It wasn't that it was automatically. And it's just weird that that's where she's putting that line. Plus, it's Anime News Network. I don't trust what they say, anyways.
Yeah. But no, again, just so I could clarify, chat, I'm not saying it's good where the current punishment is at. I'm just saying it's not fair to look at Japan and be like, wow, you guys are really, like, really low on this. No. No, not really. They're kind of standard.
US dollars. He was fined 200,000 yen, or less than $2,000. To everyone who commented about the sexualization of child characters in anime having no real-world harm and that it's just a part of Japan's culture, I would like to inform you of the increasing rates of child abuse, which includes sexual abuse, that Japan has been experiencing, reaching record-breaking heights for the last 29 years in a row.
I would like to point out that this is a record high for Japan, which is something she leaves out. It is a record high for specifically Japan, and she's gonna hate that I'm gonna say this. Almost all of the perpetrators are not Japanese.
The goal, yield per capita.
It is increasing with direct correlation to certain decisions they have made with immigration. And she's not going to comment on that. And again, I have to point out, record high for Japan. When compared to other countries, Japan looks like it doesn't even exist. It is so small. Like, she points out record high of 193, an increase of 21.2%. Their actual rate per, like, 100,000 people is something like 0.008%. Like, a almost non-existent number. Then you go to the UK, and it's something like 2.5 or 2.6%. Massive, massive jumps.
Sounds about right. Boop, boop.
And she's just going to pretend this isn't real. So how come in countries where stuff like this is illegal, it's so much higher?
All while American child abuse rates have been on the decline. To everyone bringing up Japan,
it's still exceptionally high in America, comparatively speaking. Also, decline is kind of a unfair way to put it, which I'm not trying to like shit on America. I love America. But if you look across the board in every country, almost every form of crime is on a decline, and I'm actually not sure why that is. I think people are just too tired to commit crime or something. I really don't have a good explanation for it.
That would be funny.
But across the world, like even in places that have had spikes in crime, overall they're having like pretty consistent downward trends of people committing crime. And I don't know why that is, honestly. That's got to be like some society poison, which is working in good ways in that spot, but
age of consent, sure. At 13, Japan's base age of consent is the
so just to point out, it is not 13. I don't know where she got this from. Even at the time when this video was made, which was only a couple years ago, it was 16.
I can tell you where she got it. Anime News Network.
Yeah.
Probably.
lowest of any developed country. However, many prefectures also have local corruption of minors or obscenity statutes, which raise the de facto age of consent to 16 to 18. The effective age of consent in Tokyo by local statute is 18. And it's not like this is an issue that is set in stone either. It can be changed. In November 2020, students submitted a petition to raise the age of consent from 13 to 16, which received 40,000 signatures. Arguing that it's fine because it's not technically illegal in Japan should mean nothing to you. I can guarantee from
I don't like that petition went nowhere because it was already 16.
Also, it's like, are there places in America that are that low?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
The
say,
lowest in
that's-
America, I think, is 15.
Yeah, I think there might be one or two caveats, but yeah.
To point out, though, like how dumb it is what she's talking about, is she is saying Japan's like national age of consent versus like the different prefectures. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but in American terms, she's talking about the federal versus the states. In every state in America, youngest age is 15. I think highest is 18. I think it's only like one state is 18 and the rest, most of them are at 17. The federal age of consent in America does not exist. It is basically 0. And it is because they do not see a point when every state has already risen it to that high. So if because she made the comparison to America earlier. If we were comparing it to America, America has a lower federal age of consent than Japan by leaps and bounds. Like you do not know what you're talking about. And a lot of people don't know what they're talking about because they don't understand how like laws work in these countries. You don't know how they work in America. So I don't know why you suddenly decided you were an expert on Japanese law.
They watched one. They played one game of Phoenix, right?
Probably.
my video analytics that at least 44% of you are from the United States. Like 100 people living in Japan clicked on my video.
Wait, why did she say that? I had to go back
Odd
to
thing to
Spanish.
say.
Living in Japan clicked on my
Oh, I got it.
I can guarantee from my video analytics that at least 44% of you are from the United
Why did you say 44%?
I think I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, trying to have a bit of a margin for error for YouTube stats not being entirely accurate.
That's
But
still
usually are.
retarded.
I agree.
Don't show it on the screen if you're going to say that, because then you just look like you're an idiot. Like,
No, I agree.
genuinely.
I was giving the benefit of the doubt. I shouldn't, but I did.
I'm not, because you put it on screen. You sound dumb. Do a retake or don't put it on screen.
Player people from the Philippines are watching too.
States. Like 100 people living in Japan clicked on my video, which is like 0.01%. They are not the people I am trying.
Why are you getting all of your numbers wrong? Stop showing it on screen if you can't be bothered to say it correctly. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
To talk to here. You cannot use cultural differences as a defense when part of that culture also ends up hurting people. Media does not exist in a vacuum, and portraying sexualized child characters in any media normalizes the sexualization of children to the audience. Why do you think so many of you can't even see this as a problem? It's because anime has normalized it to you. And
no, because it's not a problem.
Imagine not being able to dissociate reality from fiction. Just imagine.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
Always do this. It's like, well, why can't you see it's a problem? Because my contention is that it's not. Also, I need to go through my things because I hadn't read them yet. Baked Buddhist, member for 6 months. Thank you for being everyone being off for Christmas and New Year's has been fucking with my autism and my desire for structured routine and normalcy. Thank you, Wolfsbane, for the membership. It says, pot meat kettle. And Wolfsbane for the 2. Age of consent is usually 15 to 16, but only between 15 to 17, maybe 18. Like, I don't like talking about the age of consent stuff because it sounds weird in a vacuum, but she's constantly bringing it up, so you have to, like, point out, like, no, you're wrong. You know what I mean?
also, none of this matters anyway, because guess what I found out after making the Dragon Maid video? The author, Cool Kyo Shinja, has drawn at least 5 comics of child porn, so there is literally—
You can't call it that. That is genuinely, in America, probably a crime. You can't do that.
no point in defending this person. One of which is 194 pages in length. Do you know how long it takes to draw nearly 200 pages of anything? This is a theme.
Wait, can I stop for a second? Don't stop on that actual thing.
No, I'm stopping on that one.
Not that one. So that is that doujin that she was showing. That's like the 195 page. That's like all the doujins in one, by the way.
Yeah,
that's a collection. Couldn't even. Oh yeah, it is. Apparently, it's wrong. I decided to show it on screen.
Yes.
Made for a reason. This isn't even a matter of possession. This guy is producing and distributing.
Just so you know, Neuralities, because you said that we are looking at that. I'm not saying it out loud because then YouTube will definitely ban me. In America, it does not actually have to be illegal content for you to get in trouble in one specific situation. If you share it and you publicly state that you believe it is illegal, you can actually get in trouble for that. Because you have told them that you believe you are committing a crime.
Yes.
It is a very weird and niche use case law, but you're fucking stupid for not knowing that when you're doing this whole video about this.
Comics of child porn. And look, I know doujinshi or hentai of child porn aren't illegal in Japan. This guy has not done anything that I know of that could be met with legal action. And even in America,
there's no reason to make the video.
Child porn, it's a little messy, right? In 2005,
it's not. It is very straightforward in America. We've covered it like 20 times.
But Mizu, they wouldn't have a video otherwise, and they couldn't be wrong on the internet.
Will Spain for 2. Now that's defamation. She can't go to Japan. Yep.
Richmond, Virginia, Dwight Worley was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his possession of child porn, including hentai, digital photos of real children, and graphic.
No. People bring up this issue all the time. And they always bring up this 20 Japanese cartoons thing. That is not what he was convicted on. Notice the second part. Poorly also received digital photographs of actual children.
Yeah.
He did not get, like, this article includes this Japanese cartoons one. I can only assume to, like, shit on Japan, because that is not what he was convicted of. That was even affirmed in court that this part did not fucking matter. It was the second part that mattered.
Yeah.
Text-based emails. Among the arguments in his appeal was that cartoons are protected under the First Amendment because they do not depict real children. He also claimed the statute is unconstitutional because text-only emails cannot be obscene. 2 judges rejected those arguments. A third agreed with Worley on those issues, but joined in the majority in affirming his convictions on the counts pertaining to the photographs.
Oh, you read it. What photographs? Do you know? Dumbass.
The Protect Act of 2003 includes the possession of anime or manga that portrays children in sexual activities as a prosecutable offense.
By the way, the Protect Act was basically struck down the same year it was made, which is a lot of things people like this ignore. It still, quote unquote, exists, but they have put so many conditions on the Protect Act at this point in that same year that it is effectively worthless. It has basically 0 use cases at this point.
That's because it was useless.
Toa for 5, I'm guessing there will be no mention of FSC versus Ashcroft. Oh no, they hate talking about Ashcroft. They love talking about the Protect Act, though, even though it's, like, on the Wikipedia page, I think the second line is, Protect Act was then limited heavily later that same year.
The
Supreme that would
Court
be
held
their narrative.
that virtual child pornography was protected free speech, provided that the virtual depictions are not obscene. Obscenity, including obscene depictions of children, either virtual or real, is unprotected speech. Kobayashi's Dragon...
To point out, the restriction that was placed on the Protect Act later that year basically said that for something to be considered obscene, it has to have absolutely 0 artistic merit. By the very nature of it being a drawing, it is effectively impossible to say it has no artistic merit. And that's kind of what I mean when I say, like, they defanged the Protect Act as much as possible. Is she broke the Protect Act earlier in the video? Yeah, she did. She does not understand the point that part of the law pertaining to this said that you could not share it even if the obscene parts were censored. So good luck with that.
Has a story. It depicts and frames children in sexual situations, but it is not porn. It would not be classified as obscene. But because his doujins depict children having sex with adults, those would be considered obscene.
No, they wouldn't.
It would.
And this is something that me and Ava have had to talk about on Lawtism a lot. When you are talking about law, you do not use dictionary definitions of words. And that's why I hate when normal people talk about legal stuff, because they don't understand this. In law, obscene has an entirely different meaning than what Webster's dictionary says. Because you can't have, like, that kind of wishy-washy, variable definition when it comes to legal aspects. You have to have a strict, well-understood, well-thought-out definition of a word. And in the federal government, obscene means that it is offensive to the general public and has 0 artistic merit or political, like, expression behind it, right? So you can't really say something is obscene if it's attacking a politician either. And there's a couple other specific use cases, but those are the 2 big ones. Because once you have political messaging and artistic merit, you have basically covered every single piece of media that could have been covered by this law. Thank you, Devastator, for the 10. Projector type they are, the blue one. Very much. And Toa for 5. Unfortunately, your drawings can't be obscene because art does not hold, as there have been court cases declaring fictional writing to be obscene. Not in America, not anymore. What people mistake that for is there are some cases where people have pled guilty. That is not actually declaring whatever they did obscene. That is them just taking a guilty plea. Those cases actually cannot be used as case law.
Never
Pretty
heard.
much.
I'm grabbing water.
And they can't because there was no actual ruling in that case.
I can also hear it.
Well, hurry up and get back. I am willing to be proven wrong, but reading law is something I do quite a lot, and I have not seen anything that is an actual ruling that says that fictional material can be declared obscene and have no artistic merit. You might get me like on a state that has like a ridiculously strict obscenity law. For instance, there is one state in America where you can't do BDSM because BDSM is considered non-consensual in all circumstances.
It's a very odd thing.
Toa for 5, yes, in America within the last 10 years. Frank McCoy.
You're getting hit by the Frank McCoy.
I don't know the Frank McCoy one, do you?
Nope. No, I don't. Okay. Water acquired. Sorry, Chad, I just got off streaming my side, so I ran out of water.
So this was in 2013. So he had real material again.
I'm coming to see a pattern.
So what he got busted for is he was sending explicit stories of abusing children around to people on the internet. And he sent it to a guy who happened to work for Homeland Security. He had a jury trial, which jury trials are kind of difficult to cover anyways, because you have to convince a jury of your peers that they should be okay with this. In a case like this, you would want to be in front of a judge who would judge you based more on the law than anything else. According to documents filed in court, McCoy wrote and distributed short stories describing extreme sexual abuse and other acts of violence perpetrated against very young children. He was on bond pending an appeal of his conviction from a Georgia U.S. probation of his conviction from Georgia. A U.S. probation officer observed large numbers of computers and related equipment in his home in Minnesota. A search of the computer equipment revealed dozens of videos of child abuse material. McCoy had installed forensic wiping software intended to destroy any evidence of the images from the computers. The majority of those files had been written onto a portable video player device before the seizure of the devices.
That's crazy.
And they would not be protected under free speech. I'm not going to pretend I know what this guy's deal is. I don't know what's in his heart. But the mere sexual attraction to children is enough to be classified as a pedophile.
Not when it's completely fictional drawings. Like, psychiatrists have tried to tell you this over and over again, does not qualify for drawings. You can be something called a fictophile if it's for drawings. Not the same thing.
Nope.
It does not matter if they have...
Also, thank you for the 100 biddies, Gabbies. I appreciate it. Says she doesn't know what she's talking about. She never will.
...actually engaged in a criminal act or not. I think it is important to note that as of 1968, pedophilia is listed in the APA as a mental disorder, which would make it not a choice but a diagnosis. However, I'm not sure how much faith to put in that, considering how enormous...
No. You cannot cite psychologist and then 2 seconds later go, well, you know, the psychologists say this about it, but I don't really believe in that shit. You can't do that, like, back to back.
Yeah.
Enormously under-researched this issue is, and considering that homosexuality was also listed as a mental disorder until 1973, and that being transgender was only removed from the APA in 2012 under the term gender identity disorder. And
it should not have been removed. By definition, it was one.
Wait. I think my brain went cold for that. Never mind, go on.
And literally before anyone tries to frame pedophilia as another sexual orientation like homosexuality, I would posit that you cannot have a sexual orientation where the party you are attracted to is legally incapable of giving consent 100% of the time. They are in no way comparable. If my theory is wrong and pedophilia is still categorized as a mental illness 10 or 20 or however many years from now, after more research has been done, then obviously I would prefer these people use drawings of child porn as an outlet and not actual child porn. If it is a mental illness and recovery were a possibility, then obviously I would prefer that over unnecessary incarceration. But that was not the point I was trying to make.
Also, as a disclaimer,
You didn't make a point. Even in this, you haven't made a point. You just don't know what you're talking about. Like, start to finish.
It's pretty obvious.
I shouldn't even have to say this, but do not harass anyone. I specifically made this video to address how completely out of control online harassment has become.
You can't say that. That's something a lot of these people don't understand. You cannot say, oh, don't go harass them. They're just sharing child porn. You can't do that. Because you're not accusing somebody of some small little thing. You know, you're saying they're committing, like, literally one of the worst crimes in the world that even the most hardened criminals in prison do not tolerate. And then you're following it up with, but don't harass them, though. That's like, you know, that's not cool, guys. What do you want to happen?
Yeah, people get murdered in prison because of that.
Like, you're so stupid. Oh.
Do not use this video as an excuse to harass or bully or send death threats to anyone.
Also, yes, Foxman, Site's expert immediately disputes them with no evidence. No, guys, we need to listen to the psychologist. Except the psychologists are always wrong and they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to this issue.
The links to all my sources are in the description in case anyone would like to actually learn more about these issues for themselves. Otherwise, I am moving on.
It's called confirmation bias, honey. Just because you can find a source that agrees with you does not mean you are correct. If you want, I will post you 50 different sources right now that say vaccines cause autism. Does that mean I am correct because I could find 50 other idiots to agree with that position? That's not how this works.
So this is actually a great way to segue into a topic that I've wanted to discuss for a while, which is problematic media and everything that entails, like cancel culture, death of the author, how media we consume impacts reality. I promise you that I had parts of this script written months ago, and I did not furiously whip it up because a bunch of strangers were kind of weird in my comment section.
Just so we're clear, she's about to go on about how you can't harass her for her problematic media. Her problematic media is okay. It's your problematic media that's bad.
But what I
Guys, look at the title of this section.
Oh.
If you're hard of seeing or you can't see it very well, chat, the title of this section of the video is "Fiction Does Not Equal Reality." After she just went on for 10 minutes straight about how fiction actually does equal reality, and the entire country of Japan has been, normalized to the sexualization of children.
That's crazy.
This is why people hated this woman, by the way, chat, for those of you who weren't around for when this happened. It had absolutely nothing to do that she was a woman criticizing a popular Japanese TV show at the time. Is everything to do with the fact that she is literally back to back the biggest hypocrite you have ever seen. And it's not even like back to back videos. It's back to back sentences in the same video.
found interesting about the negative responses was most people knew they couldn't outright defend the sexualization of Kana or Ilulu's design because it would implicate them as siding with people who think that being sexually attracted to children is fine.
He's 16, by the way.
That version of him is 20 something.
Is it?
That specific one. Yeah, that's part 4, Jotaro.
Don't care. We're talking about the original. He's 16. Also,
yes, in the original he's 16.
I don't know what she's talking about. Plenty of people can defend the sexualization of Kana. She is a fictional character. She is a drawing. She does not exist.
Oh, I was going to say, fun fact, 2/3 of the main characters in part 3 of JoJo are under 18.
I think almost like
Older
every
after.
JoJo character when we first meet them is like 16.
I think
It seems to be like a pattern.
I think Jonathan is 18 during the actual part of his story. Obviously, in the beginning, he's younger.
Yeah.
And I think
Not all of them, just like most are kind of teenagers.
Joseph. Yeah, most of them usually until like part 7 and 6 and 7 or 7 and onward. No, 6 is she's older.
Yeah.
Which, some people still did do that anyway, though, and those people can leave. But most of them worded their grievances so that they weren't directly addressing the actual points that I made, but framed it so that the problem was with me and my perceptions. The most common responses being some form of, it's just fiction, not reality, or if you don't like, don't watch. Which,
Literally the correct thing.
wow, the scales have fallen from my eyes. Truly, how could I have been so blind? I am a human being that is clearly unable to distinguish fiction from reality.
You are, and what's funny is you're projecting, because the whole start of your video is, everybody but me is just so dumb, and they don't understand. I just need to lift the scales from their eyes so they can just see how wrong they are. You can't do this bit when it was the whole start of your video. This was your last 10 minutes, was you doing this to other people.
How silly of me. I wonder why all those people were so upset at the minstrel shows and the depiction of blackface when it's just a drawing after all.
Do you have comments, Ryan?
People that are mad about that have a fair right to be mad about it, I guess. But she's full of it because she's so far projecting that I'm pretty sure she works at IMAX.
I would also like to point out that generalities. People weren't mad at the minstrel shows back then. They were mad at the systemic oppression of their entire race, to which the minstrel show was just one facet that existed at the time.
Yeah. It wasn't exclusively the minstrel show that was the problem here.
I hate pulling a Godwin's Law, but I really want to pull it because it's just so funny. because it's
I'll
kind of
allow you one.
this is my one Godwin's Law of the video chat. It's like saying that the problem with Nazi Germany was the racist depiction of Jews on posters and not, literally everything else that was happening around that time. It was just the racist posters.
No, what do you mean? It was clearly just the poster.
Is the racist posters. That was the problem. Everything else was kind of whatever. We don't really talk about that. It's not a big deal. But the racist posters was just a step too far. That's how it is with the minstrel show thing. It's like, no, it wasn't that, they had to sit at the back of the bus and they weren't allowed in white people's stores and, they weren't allowed to vote or anything like that.
Couldn't use the same water fountain.
Yeah. Couldn't use the same water fountain. They weren't allowed to go to white schools. It was the minstrel shows. That was the real thing they had a problem with.
They could literally just be accused of something, but because they were the color of skin, they're automatically wrong. Look, I read To Kill a Mockingbird as a kid.
Mike says, I'm pretty sure it was the genocides, Norm Macdonald properly. Yeah. Yeah, Jack Price. It totally wasn't the state enforced segregation. Yeah, it wasn't that. That wasn't a problem. That was just kind of whatever. Is the minstrel show. That was the thing black people really had a problem with at the time. If we could have just done away with the minstrel show, could have kept everything else. It would have been fine. Like, she's so stupid. Also, thank you, Internet Zipmaster, for the 10. Someone post the meme of the feminist shoveling BS over the wall and then crying when it gets tossed back over the wall right back at her. This woman was a third-rate Anita Sarkeesian for anime.
Don't worry, I already have it on tap.
Oh, it's all good. I'm too lazy.
No, I'm not sending it to you. I'm just going to have it on tap.
Art never has an impact on people, obviously.
I don't know what she's doing by showing some of these, but, I don't think you understand that stuff like the birth of Adam, the creation of man, and all that did not influence people. That was people influencing art. That did not make people Christian. People were already Christian, which is why they commissioned those pieces. Those were commissioned pieces.
I think she's saying that the Bible was fake, and thus it's fiction. I heard was, that's sacrilegious beyond all belief.
Well, this is something people like her don't seem to understand is art isn't influencing people. The people are influencing the art. The art is made in their image based on what they believe. Can sometimes art change people's minds? Yeah, sometimes. But everything can change people's minds. That's not a special quality of art.
And I would say it's less of a quality of art. It's that person probably had how to explain? It had a fraction of their mind ready to be changed, and they weren't set in their ways.
Yeah.
Because I think I've always said this: the average person sits in a weird state of they're willing to be changed. The average person, obviously, not the schizos on the internet, is willing to go either way. That's why we have had back and forth elections for years in America.
Yeah.
All those people upset at the Confederate flags and statues in America? What? They're just statues in fabric. It's not like...
Yeah, you're retarded for being upset at them.
You really are. They really are.
Their presence means anything. I mean, it's not like a drawn image can reinforce and perpetuate harmful ideologies to the people who see them, so much so that a government might even take action to ensure that depictions of those images have legal consequences. Oh, wait! The phrasing...
Trying to cite that Germans can't show swastikas is really stupid. Because what's funny is everything that has ever been banned by the government has only made that thing more popular. Mm-hmm. You're an idiot woman. Genuinely.
Of these comments are, I think, not meant to be a serious form of critique.
Also, she cited the Protect Act again. That was, first off, people have no excuse to still cite the Protect Act. It was in 2003. It was gutted in 2003, later that same year.
critique and are just supposed to put me on the defensive. But
also, sorry, Wolfsbane for 2. Plain cruel angel thesis ain't changing hearts and minds. Exactly.
it is an absurd counter-argument because it completely closes the door for any critical analysis of any media. Like, out of context, don't like, don't watch seems like a reasonable statement. For instance,
You need to
I think it's
understand,
the
we
most
are not
reasonable
saying
thing.
that you cannot critique media. I brought this up when we talked about the Thermian argument last week. You are not actually critiquing media. You are hiding behind that as a defense. What you are doing is you are saying media is illegal and should not exist. There is a difference. You are not critiquing it. You are just pointing at it and saying, I don't like it. It shouldn't be allowed to be there. In fact, you even say it is on the same level of Nazis, that we should be banning it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't like superhero films. Nothing wrong with them. They just have oversaturated the market, and I don't find them interesting. I don't like them, I don't watch them, and I don't spend days of my life critically breaking down their core themes or explaining to people why I don't like them, because why would I? However, the problem was not that I did not like Dragon Maid. The problem was that it perpetuated harmful imagery of sexualized children, which is harmful to children. I liked The Promised Neverland, but its depictions of Sister Crone reinforced awful racist imagery of black people, which is harmful to black people.
How?
It literally isn't. Literally isn't, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. Like, all I have to do to shut down your argument is not say don't like, don't watch. It's just how. Go on, tell me. How is it actively hurting people? Go on, I'll wait. And you can't just say it normalizes certain things. You need to demonstrably show me that normalization happening. Not just saying it existed in a time when that was normalized. Because when that was normalized, it wasn't because of the imagery. The imagery existed because the racism was normalized back then.
You know what's crazy?
What?
She says that, but the Sister Corn stuff was like some of the best stuff in that entire series.
Also, she's showing Aunt Jemima. Aunt Jemima was a real person. And
she was wonderful. She made my pancakes delicious.
Like, I always think, because for some reason they always show Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. You know those are pictures of real black people, right?
Yeah.
That's not a racist depiction of a black person. That is a real existing black person.
What do you mean? They
Well,
took her
they might
away
be dead now.
you-
I don't know how long ago those ads were made.
The problem is they took her away and she was the best. I have aunts like that, by the way.
Yeah.
Those are real people that function like that.
Yeah, like they were real black people. And if you went to the store and you went to that specific section, you just saw like wall to wall black people faces. You think that didn't assist in like normalizing the black community in certain areas and being like, oh, that's a nice looking black woman. She, great syrup for my pancakes kind of thing. Like, how do you see that? And you're like, somebody's going to look at that and they're going to hate black people. They're going to eat their delicious syruped pancakes and look at that picture of Aunt Jemima on the bottle and go, damn, I hate black people.
This is a thing that I see a lot, and especially nowadays. I have this conversation with my family every so often. Ignoring the fact that there's so many black people that sing Christmas music, I did not know that. By the way, it's crazy amount of how many Christmas classics are by black people. The thing, like the Aunt Jemima thing, is actually it would do the opposite. It genuinely normalizes them just in society.
Yeah,
because first of all, a lot of women dressed like Aunt Jemima back in that time. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't just black people. It was white people too.
And it's like, who the fuck wouldn't want to... When you think of like pancakes and like a warm breakfast on like a morning, do you not think of like, this person that loves me and cares about me? Yeah, grandma's cooking. It is true. It really did.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
my side tangent.
Thank you, Internet Zen Master, for the 2 $5 super chats. One is, did Morality cite the damn Europores mindset on the Nazis in an argument about freedom of expression? The Shotokan protest too much? And the other one was, Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben are literally the black equivalent of Colonel Sanders, and they took them away from us. And then Arch Megos for 10. Nosy people have been forever damaged by the internet, projecting their own problems on others. I don't want to get off on this too much because I could go on this for hours, but people like this genuinely do believe that restrictions of freedoms make you more free. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but there's something called the Freedom Index, and the Freedom Index actually rates America as one of the lower countries on freedom of speech. And their excuse is that the restrictions on speech that other countries in Europe have make people more inclined to speak their mind because they know people aren't allowed to, quote unquote, harass them for their speech. These people have genuinely twisted in their minds that not having freedom makes you more free. Because certain people that could offend you are not free to offend you. It is the dumbest thing. It is so ass backwards. Also, thank you, Wolfsbane, for 5. As a black man, I want Aunt Jemima back. Bring back Uncle Ben, Lando Lakes Girl, Aunt Jemima Redskins. Why does Cracker Barrel get to keep theirs?
Because Cracker Barrel didn't fold.
I would show the meme, but there's a meme when black people protest versus when white people protest. That's why. That's why Cracker Barrel like folded so quick. Because when white people protest, white people get pretty organized when they protest, and they're typically willing to go much further if they're actually mad enough to go protest. Oh yeah, Cracker Barrel did fold. The only thing they haven't done is fire. I don't think they fired the lady that tried to make the decision. But they have returned the cracker in the barrel.
Good.
Internet Sim Master for 5, just more proof that Freedom Index is an absolute farce. Oh, the Freedom Index is horrendously shit.
Sorry, I had to adjust my webcam just now.
The framing of it's just fiction, not reality, at first seems so innocuous.
Also, no, 7, why is it so many people talk about Japan like it's an island of pedos? I think they just genuinely are racist. It's hard. I don't like using that word, right? Because it always feels loaded. It feels like an easy thing to say, like, oh, you just don't like them because you're racist. You hear people say it all the time, and it's always dumb.
Yo, true.
But it's hard to, like, listen to someone talk about Japanese people and not assume there's some kind of weird racism to it. Like, we talked about this the other day when people were posting clips of old G4 videos. G4 said God, what was the thing they specifically said? They specifically joked about America nuking Japan into a real country more times than they actually had episodes. And it's like
pretty powerful.
When they keep doing that over and over again, it's like, is it a joke? Like, at what point can I just be like, you don't joke about this with any other country, race, or group of people. So, is it a joke? I have to ask the question at that point. Because, like, me and Ryan just now, joking about, hey, Cracker Barrel brought the cracker back. Like, we could joke about white people, and we could joke about black people, and we can joke about other groups of people. But when you get people like her, and they only ever shit talk one specific group of people, at some point you have to be like, maybe you are just racist against Japanese people. You don't talk about this, you don't talk this way with literally any other group of people. I don't...
Asserting that whatever it's responding to as lacking common sense, unable to distinguish the difference between fiction and reality. But this is what you have to understand. Fiction does not equal reality, and media does affect reality. So let's unpack both of
That's
these
an
statements,
oxymoron.
starting with fiction does not equal reality. I think the urge to use "it's just fiction, not reality" as a defense has increased in popularity, honestly due to the recent and frankly outrageous examples of online fans openly harassing and doxing content creators. Like former Steven Universe storyboard artist Jesse Zook having to delete their Twitter over some art that they made. Or fans of Voltron sending death threats to the cast and writers because of a pairing they shipped between these two characters. The reason being, some fans falsely accused the ship.
We are going to, I almost guarantee, I'm making a prediction now, we are going to talk about people harassing strictly progressive media creators. We've already mentioned two, which was the kind of Western Voltron remake, and which she says Voltron show. It's specifically a Western Voltron remake that I think was like on Netflix or some shit.
Yeah.
And then she specifically mentioned Steven Universe. I will almost guarantee we are going to strictly talk about Western progressive shows.
Of being pedophilic, which, first of all, I don't think they even had canonical ages at the time.
Oh! So when it's underage boys, it doesn't matter.
No.
No, they don't. Guys, they don't have canonical ages. So it's okay. And you can't call this pedophilia. Like, they're not sexualizing them, you know. You cannot say this after you just went on the Dragon Maid rant. Oh, holy shit.
What do you mean, Mizu? It's okay when I do it.
But I think Shiro has...
Isn't one of them a girl?
Wait, actually, hold on, go back.
No, I don't think so.
I'm looking it up.
I'm thinking all guys. If anybody's a girl, it's the twink here in the front, but I don't think he is. I think they're all guys.
I think they're
First of all,
guys.
I don't think they even had canonical ages at the time, but I think Shiro has been confirmed to be 25 and Keith is 18. Which is not what pedophilic means.
That is a genuinely problematic age gap.
How much was I was looking at Voltron?
18 and 25.
Yes!
7-year gap, and one of them is a teenager.
Oh, 18 isn't legally a teenager.
I said, what are you talking about? Teenager is not a legal description. It is somebody who is between the ages of 13 and 19.
Oh, I thought it was 18. Like when they hit 18, they legally count as an adult because they're allowed to, go off to war. And
teenager is not a legal description.
I didn't know that.
It's 13 to 19 because all of them have teen in it.
Oh. Shut up! I'm stupid. I've just never heard everybody. I've never heard someone refer to a 19-year-old as a teen.
19, right?
No, I get it. I get it now. I get it. I've never had that as a conversation come up.
Baked Buddhist for 10. It's fascinating how she's trying to get us to understand her point of view on something, but she's just letting us know everything wrong with her, if you can read in between the lines. Yeah. This is a thing, right? And I've mentioned this before. I am a harsher critic of videos than I am with streams, because with a video, she is showing us everything she thinks we need to see to understand her point. She is not trying to come up with it on the fly live. She specifically scripted this out. So she scripted out a contradiction that she was going to have to try and defend, and she's defending it poorly. Why would you add that in the script? Just leave it out. Come up with another example.
So to a certain extent, I really understand why recently when people hear something or someone being accused of pedophilia, their first instinct may be to brush it off because the term has been thrown around loosely and incorrectly before. Which, can I just say, makes my job so frustrating. Like, when you hear about someone potentially committing a crime, your first instinct really shouldn't be, well, I bet people are just misinformed and overreacting. Part of the reason why this is happening more and more frequently.
Actually, that should always be your first indication, because we have this thing called innocent until proven guilty. You should not just blindly believe random ass people on the internet when they say someone committed a crime. The actual problem is not that when people hear pedophilia, they think, oh, people are probably just overreacting. It's when they hear that, they go, are you talking about a drawing or a real kid? That's the bad part, because that means that we as a society, not as a society, but as like an internet society, cannot agree on what constitutes pedophilia, even though it should be very clear. And you're part of the problem. You have caused this, and you're still causing it, but you're making a video complaining about the problem you caused. Good job. Also, Internet Zen Master for 10, 7-year age gap. Thank you, Mizu, for triggering the memory that Sesshomaru X Ren from the Inuyasha series was a canon pairing. As I recall, even the Japanese fans of the series weren't happy. It just feels weird. It's one of those things, I'm not saying it's illegal, especially like with a cartoon. With a cartoon, nothing's illegal. It's just, if you are going to sit here and you're going to tell me that cartoons can be pedophilia, you cannot also sit here and tell me that an acceptable relationship in a cartoon is between an 18-year-old and a 25-year-old. Because you're the one telling me it's normalizing problematic themes to the public. If you're saying that, you believe that the show with an 18-year-old dating a 25-year-old is normalizing that to the public. That is what you have said. That is the rules you have established for society. But you're not going to do that. You're going to immediately discount that because, oh, it's fine when I do it.
Is that social media gives fans a much closer window into the production process of their show in a way that has just never been a thing before, and because it's new, we don't have a way to regulate it. The thing is, the internet kind of...
Why is your first thought to regulate things? Why is that always people's first thought is, we need to regulate it?
They don't know any better.
Also, I'm gonna turn this up a little bit, because I don't want to be here. I'll try 1.5. If that's too fast, I'll slow it back down.
Mm-hmm.
Tricks you into thinking you're not talking to a real person.
I swear to God. Okay, it went back to normal. I was about to say... Wait, what? Why does it keep going back down?
Is it going down because we're on the watch together? Let me change it as well.
Maybe.
You're saying you said 120, 75, right? Or 150?
Yeah, I was doing 150. It just keeps going back down. No!
I don't think...
Oh, maybe I have to do it on this one. Yeah, I'll probably have to do it on this. Because I was about to say, it didn't sound like it changed at all.
It's the same logic behind road rage. Like,
yeah, there is.
Most of you would never tell a stranger on the street to kill themselves because you would see their face crumple and there would be direct consequences for your actions that you would have to take immediate responsibility for.
No, I would do it depending on what they did. Like...
Fair enough.
Like road rage. You'd never tell somebody to off themselves. Nah, depending on what they did.
I do it every day. I want to scream it out from my truck every day.
Because then you'd have to see their face crumple and deal with the consequences. What, the consequences of them yelling at me? Get the fuck up.
But the anonymity of being online takes the pressure of consequences off of the accusers. It's the mob mentality where you can point as many fingers as you want, all while knowing that you have complete safety in numbers. Recently, there's been a worrying trend where young people online have started to adopt this perception that if a person likes X problematic thing, then they are automatically problematic in the same way. So,
do you hear yourself? That's a genuine question. Do you hear yourself? Did you read this script at all and be like, that sounds kind of familiar. I kind of think I know somebody like that. Oh shit, it's me. It's just, it hurts because it's all in the same video.
It's okay to be mean to them, which is obviously absurd because that is not how human beings work. The ideology that we can only like media if it is perfect and completely unproblematic is impossible because anything made by human hands is inherently biased and imperfect. Younger people already have a natural inclination to think in terms of black and white, good or bad, but they tend to grow out of it as their brains develop and start to realize that there are a lot of gray areas. People are not good or bad, they just do good or bad things. But there's a major flaw within that mentality because deep down, everybody believes that they're a good person. But you can be a good person that still does terrible things.
So we actually know for a fact that this is not true. First off, there are some people that just have mental problems which convince them that they are bad people when they are not. So that's a thing. But if you talk to like any serial killer who's ever been in prison, because we have multiple interviews with them, they know they're evil and they don't give a shit. Like that is a rough thing to learn about the world, is that there is true evil out there and that they know they're evil and don't care. And this idea that, no, we're all hardwired, like predisposition to think we're good. No, we're not. Some people just suck. That's the reality of the world. And a lot of those people in kind of the modern day on the internet are kind of on your side.
Being a good person does not automatically excuse you from the critical examinations of your own actions and holding yourself accountable. Which is why these cases of online harassment are what I would describe as good people doing evil things because they believe it is right. But doxing, harassment, and death threats are never right or okay. You can like a piece of media and dislike a certain aspect like the design.
This is like, it's a criticism I have to give you. And I've said it multiple times already, but you were encouraging this behavior in these people. And you can sit here and you say, but I said don't harass them. Okay, you said don't harass them, and then immediately after you said, but they're absolutely evil, they're a danger to children, and they do not belong in society. You can't just say, oh, no harassment, though. It's not how that works.
Or the opinions of the creator, and still not harass them. It is just that easy. I can enjoy My Hero Academia and also dislike the way Horikoshi tends to sexualize his female cast and critically talk about those issues and still not personally attack him. And also, I may have understated this point last time because I kind of assumed it was common sense, but because some of you watching right now might be a little younger and I don't know who needs...
By the way, she posts tons of porn on her Tumblr of Bakudeku.
Of course she does. Of course, what's the one Fujoshi meme where it's like, they're mad about one thing, but immediately...
That meme was made about her.
Oh, was that actually made about her?
That was made about her. A lot of people
Yeah,
don't know
crazy.
that. That's the deep lore. It is made about neuralities,
crazy.
specifically her Tumblr.
Oh, that's hilarious. That makes sense so much funnier.
Yeah, that meme is actually about her.
to hear this right now. Watching a show does not make you a bad person, period. You can't let yourself feel bad about something that you had no way of knowing about. Full disclosure, part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I went through this experience with Rurouni Kenshin. I loved the story as a kid. I thought its themes were fantastic. I must have watched it all the way through at least twice. And it wasn't until years later that the news about the author came out, and when I finally heard about it, I was upset and I felt gross for ever liking it in the first place. I knew that if I bought DVDs of his work or manga, that I had accidentally given him money that he might have used to purchase child porn. And that feeling was very hard to reconcile with. But eventually I did, because I can't hold myself accountable for information that I don't know. Knowing about it now and changing my actions in the aftermath is what is important. I understand why It's Just Fiction, Not Reality is used to try and douse the fires of people getting upset and ruining people's lives over something that effectively matters very little. Whether your ship becomes canon or not is not worth ruining someone's life over. But this is not the end of the conversation, and there are instances where it is worth examining problematic media, calling attention to the problems to the creator, and in some cases discontinuing your support for it, because media does not exist in a vacuum and it affects reality. Lately, when people have this discussion about how fiction...
I'm gonna cut her off here, but obviously we'll let her make her point. But I say this all the time. The only thing you have to say back to her with that is how. Just give me one substantive example of how. And you can't do it, because you know it's not true.
And isn't reality,
No,
they
it's
always
not.
seem to neglect to mention the follow-up, which is fiction does actually affect reality. Which, this is not my opinion, this is a fact.
One of the most notorious examples is the 1915 silent film Birth of a Nation. Some of you might be familiar with it because it single-handedly inspired the rebirth and resurgence of the KKK only a month after its release. And you...
How many people? This is something people don't like to talk about when they bring that up. How many people did it quote, revived the KKK? How many people did it convince to do that? I'm here to tell you, basically none. Like, even today, if we count, like, actual card-carrying, confirmed KKK members, we're, like, under 1,000 in the entire United States. It is ridiculously small.
We have an ad in 35 seconds.
Wasn't that movie literally shown in the White House and used as state propaganda? Fuck if I know.
Probably.
Also like how she mentions revived it. Honey, that means it existed prior. Dumbass.
might ask yourself, how did this happen? In the film, there is a black character played by a white man in blackface, and he pursues a white woman who is running from him because of his stated desire to get married. Under the presumed threat of sexual assault, she chooses to kill herself instead, and when the Klan learns about this, they lynch him. The framing of the film weaponized white women's sexual autonomy as something that was being threatened by sexually aggressive black men, and that white women were something that needed to be protected at all costs by white men. It framed the Klan as heroic Proud Boys who were upholding white American justice by protecting their women.
Notice, by the way, she used the word Proud Boys. That was not like an accidental little thing she threw in there. That is actually referencing a specific, more modern political movement.
I was going to say, they weren't even... That's a very modern thing.
And that message resonated with a certain group of people. At the time,
resonated with them. They already held those beliefs. That's what you don't understand. The only time media... That's the only caveat I will give her. Fiction does not affect reality. Asterisk, unless said person is already predisposed to the message the media provides. We've seen this with some people, particularly that commit very violent crimes. They were already predisposed to commit violent crimes. The only thing the media gave them was an idea of how to go about it. But they were going to do it either way. The media just gave them an idea of how specifically to do it. It is not convincing them to do it. They were not good people that were corrupted by media. They are people that were about to do it anyways. Also, thank you, Internet Zen Master, for the 10. Birth of a Nation was propaganda for a movement that was already revived at that point. It wasn't state propaganda, but Woodrow Wilson did watch it in the White House. Fair.
Tail end of the Civil War, slavery was completely abolished in America in 1865, to which the KKK had originally been formed to as backlash, before being suppressed later in 1871. This was the first movie played in the White House, and it glorified the Ku Klux Klan by painting them as heroes, and now we still have to deal with the KKK being a thing up until 1944, and also literally now. Thanks! I hate it! If I tried to list every...
Yeah, this is the thing. When you try and force it to fit everything you want, yeah, you can make this argument about anything. You can just start saying whenever you want, oh yeah, no, this totally counts for my argument. But you don't have any proof of it. You're just saying it. Also, thank you, Gabby, for the 100 biddies. Women posting their own L's moment.
That's funny.
Every example of media that has had a traceable effect on reality, then I would literally be here all day. I could talk about Bambi causing deer hunting rates in the US to drop by half, the movie Fight Club being the impetus for New York's underground fighting circuit.
You do not understand how any of this works. There's a lot of correlation does not... What's the specific thing is correlation does not equal
Does
causation.
Yes.
George Orwell's works giving us a term to describe a very specific type of dystopia in a single word, Orwellian. Science fiction often...
That's not the same thing. That's a concept that existed before Orwell. Orwell's media did not invent the concept of a dystopia. It was an easy word for us to use for it.
Yeah. Because he talked about it versus,
Yeah, that's just the evolution of language.
Something that he talked about, he just popularized it. That's what it was.
At Wolfsbane for 2, the want for racism is greater than the supply. Always is.
Has influence on actual scientific.
How does Bambi affect those who hunt deers? It might have affected like some, what I would call like tourist hunters. People like from the city who want to go to the country and they think deer hunting's a cool thing. But any regular hunter is keenly aware of like when the deer hunting season is, and that yes, you do kill like the dad deer and you do not touch the babies because the babies will grow up and then be deer for next year's hunt. If like anyone who's an actual hunter is keenly aware that Bambi is kind of how things happen, and deers really don't give a shit because they're wild animals. They're not sapient.
Yeah.
Innovation and technology. Life imitates art because art affects humans, and it's silly to say that it doesn't. When someone starts crying or laughing during an emotional part of a movie, informing them that the situation is not real is meaningless because their feelings are real. Obviously, humans are capable of critical...
Okay, let's use what you're showing us really quick as a good example. So you were saying that at the same token, a bunch of people believe that they can go outside and fly on a witch's broom to be basically magical UPS. Because you can't make this argument in half measures when you start making up shit like this. Because you just actively clarified that a previous movie, in your opinion, revived the KKK and convinced people that black men were a danger to white women. Okay, we're going to go the full measure. Now, this movie is convincing little girls that they can be witches and ride around on brooms and be magical UPS. Because I believe a minute ago she showed Kiki's delivery service.
Yes.
You can't do the half measure thing. Also, thank you, Toa, for 5. Bambi was also 1942. A certain war might have had more of an effect on hunting rates at the time. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's correlation, not causation.
comprehension. But we are not infallible, and media does inarguably have an effect on how we perceive reality in both positive and negative ways. This is why positive representation in media is so important. It's because, like it or not, it has a direct impact on the human experience. Marginalized groups being humanized by television or film is not only good for those groups to see themselves represented, but because it also affects how other people perceive them. Also, I never do this, but seriously, if anyone comments again on this video, it's just fiction, not reality, or if you don't like it, don't watch it. Do not harass them, but feel free to just call them out on not actually watching the video all the way through. Please, please be good. I am trusting you all on this. If you are mean about it, I will be very disappointed. All right, so in hindsight, obviously making a film right after the Civil War glorifying the Ku Klux Klan was a bad move. This movie probably shouldn't have been made at all. Not for any lack of trying, obviously. There were ultimately unsuccessful attempts to ban the film by the NAACP. Boston's NAACP and Trotter argued that the film was a threat to public safety, that it heightened racial tensions and could incite violence, which is exactly what it ended up doing. Thanks. I hate it.
It really didn't. And that's the thing. You don't understand any subject you're talking about in any actual amount, right? She read an article. The article told her what she wanted to hear, and she just kind of ran with it. But that doesn't actually mean you understand it. And that's something like, I don't think she's getting with a lot of this video, is she's constantly reading one article about a subject and then saying, I'm a professional now. I know everything I need to talk about.
But creators can't always predict the scope of the consequences.
Oh, sorry, Wolfsbane for 5. Last one, but these people don't understand that the biggest conservationists are literally hunters. They have direct need for conservation for hunting. Exactly.
Of what they're making until after it's too late. Once something has been published, you can never take it back. Take, for instance, the 1975 film Jaws by Steven Spielberg, which sparked a huge...
The fucking Jaws one. It's always the fucking Jaws.
Look, me specifically, as a sea tuber who loves the ocean, understands that realistically sharks are kind of big sweeties of the ocean. They're very scary. They do have to eat things, obviously. But
Godless killing machines.
but they are actually the big sweeties of the ocean, honestly. But
They are.
look at a shark. They look scary.
They look horrifying.
They have
No, it's
rows
true.
and rows and rows of teeth. And if you find a washed up shark tooth on the beach, it is like the size of your fucking hand. People were scared of sharks because they looked scary. It's nothing to do with fucking Steven Spielberg. Jaws could have defeated by a rotate. Yeah, you can just literally put your hand on a shark's nose and flip them upside down, and they're fucking done. You see, like, guys do it underwater all the time.
Yeah, no, I make the joke about godless killing machines, but no, the sharks are fine.
Yeah, the big
Gators are more
sweeties of the
killing
ocean.
machines than they are. Gators are more killing machine, and that's because if you're just a dumbass and get too close to them.
Exactly. Also, thank you, Internet Zenmaster for 5. So Neuralities is just going to ignore that the historical reality of the time, like how the NAACP had next to zero power during that time. And Baked Buddhist for 5. Translation, witch hunt the naysayers, but only in the way I say, so I can feel like I'm still being virtuous. And Toa for 5. Other problem with the correlation / causation is people keep assuming the direction of the arrow. It can be AB, or BA, or CA, and CB, not just AB. Yeah, like there's all kinds of things. Like, it's completely possible that deer hunting was already on the decline because of something else. And then somebody was like, oh, like, I see this trend in deer hunting. Maybe people are nicer to deer. Let's make a video about that. Like, you can't define when, like, the actual where the arrow is going. Jaws did create a negative stigma for sharks, but that's because people couldn't separate fiction from reality. No, the negative stigma was already there.
Yeah, it was long before that, because again, sharks are in the water. We're not in the water.
Oh, so here's the thing. I've actually mentioned this before. There is a difference between fiction affecting reality, which I would consider fiction changing people's minds, right? And fiction misinforming the public. It was very easy for Jaws to misinform the public because very few people interact with sharks ever. Even people on coastal cities will almost never see a shark because they're typically out in deeper water or they're in a spot where maybe only the fishermen really see them. Another good example is people always bring up cats drinking milk and rabbits eating carrots. How many people do you know that own a pet rabbit? Nowadays, it's a bit more than normal, but back in the day, nobody owned a pet rabbit. People's only interaction with rabbits was seeing them hop around outside their house. So yeah, it was easy to convince people that carrots was a good food for rabbits because they're like, well, I don't have a pet rabbit. I guess I'll just trust what the TV says.
It was also the fact that they will eat carrots.
Yeah. Or like cats drinking milk. Like, a lot of people didn't really own cats, so they just saw it on TV and they're like, yeah, well, you know, guess cats drink milk. It's not like the media changed people's minds and convinced people of a falsehood. The people just didn't know to start with, so they had no reason to question the media portrayal.
Carrots are treats
waves
for
of fear
rabbits.
and anti-shark sentiment that have haunted human perceptions of sharks to this very day. This film ended up impacting the environment in a way that I don't think a lot of people are even quite aware of. Shortly after its release in the 1980s, when the sword fishery collapsed, fishermen decided to market the sharks, and the shark fin trade skyrocketed.
Notice, sword fishery collapsed. Fishermen decided to market the sharks. This has literally nothing to do with Jaws. This has everything to do with the sword fishery collapsing. You're so dumb. It's in your own... Why would you show this? You show it in your own article that you're wrong, but you don't put it together in your head. You can't understand it. Also, Internet Zenmaster for 10. This is your daily reminder that Flipper is dolphin propaganda. Sharks are goofy guppies. Dolphins are the biggest SA perpetrators of the ocean. Also, drug addicts just ask the poor pufferfish. Yeah, by the way, as a sea
True.
tuber, dolphins fucking suck.
They're
Literally,
horrible.
the demons of the ocean.
I wish to be the demon of the ocean one day.
Also, Nasco Nicolau for 2. Hello, Merry Belated Xmas. What did I miss? You're missing a lot of pain and suffering right now.
Shark finning is a truly horrible practice, which involves cutting off a living shark's fin and throwing the animal back into the sea to slowly die. It is a ghoulish practice. Even though sharks are incredibly important to our ecosystem and you're more likely to be killed by a vending machine than a shark, this film undoubtedly warped many people's perceptions of sharks into monstrous killing machines.
Great white, Larry. A big one. And any shark expert in the world will tell you it's a killer. It's a man-eater. What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine. All this machine does is swim and eat.
But what I find fascinating is not just the audience
They
response to this
specifically
film, but
talking
author's
about the
response to-
shark that is Jaws.
Yeah, they're specifically talking
That
about
scene.
Jaws.
Yeah, they're talking about a specific shark that it's abnormal. That was like the whole thing.
And you have
Sorry,
to then justify why this did not happen with other creatures. And I think probably the best example is the Kraken. Why is there not a universal fear of octopi and squids when Krakens have been a historical belief for probably thousands of years? Stories of the giant octopus coming up and just mindlessly killing the ship and its crew. But there isn't like some universal fear of octopi or squids. People are actually pretty chill with them. So if fiction affects reality, people should be fucking terrified of octopuses. Also Don Haito, or with whales and Moby Dick. Why is there not a mass amount of people that believe there is a genuine evil group of whales out there knocking people off
because they
ships to eat
didn't
them?
read Moby Dick.
Everybody had to read Moby Dick. Not
They didn't
these
read it.
days, but back when Moby Dick was out, everybody had to read Moby Dick in school.
Why does my hair keep popping out of my hoodie?
Also, Internet Semester for 5. In the late 1980s, China was opening up to the rest of the world, and you know what China loves? Shark fin soup. And Gabby, for the 100 biddies, hippos and mosquitoes kill more than sharks. To be fair, the mosquitoes aren't technically their fault, but I am all for that genetic altering to make mosquitoes useless.
Also, hippos are rat bastards.
Oh, yeah.
They're can I tangent for a quick second, like 5 seconds?
I mean, maybe. Because
Never mind.
we're maybe like
Go
looping
ahead.
on this too much, because at the same time, like, we can say this about anything she says right now, is she has basically no understanding of what she's talking about, but she really wants to talk about it. So she found one news article about it and just ran with it.
Yeah.
She is running with it because she literally gets a lot of people who just say, yes, go girl, a lot of things. Also, hello, Misu, and hello, chat.
Hi, Atari.
Hello. I was gonna say that
We're
he was
doing
here, but I
angry
wasn't-
energy tonight.
I wasn't sure if Mizu knew or not, so I didn't say anything. You came in.
No, about what?
If Atari came in.
Oh, no, Atari's fine to stay in.
Yeah.
I'll punish him later.
No, you're not.
Anyways, I just gotta get Atari's little tech so I can pop it up.
You don't need to.
No, it's too late. I already started.
Ah, goddammit.
I mean, you're in here now.
I've been drinking a lot, and now I have been eating food and trying to not. I mean, I've been not drinking a lot tonight. And now I'm not sobering up, but I'm doing quite well.
Bad
I
Atari.
don't believe him. I don't believe you.
Anyways, we
I've
continue.
not been shaking my hips in VR chat. Don't worry.
His new legacy.
And
Peter
proof.
Benchley, the author of the 1974 novel the film is based on, said, "Knowing what I know now,
Okay, here I will. I'll send Atari the linky link so we can watch it in real time. Gabby for 100. Hi Atari. Love Atari. Love Atari.
Yes. Thank you, Gabby. Mwah.
Says, how is the hangover going?
Quite well. I know how to deal with it.
I could never write that book today because sharks don't target human beings and they certainly don't hold grudges." Benchley was horrified by the anti-shark backlash, and especially by the surge of shark finning, and committed himself to the shark conservation movement until his death in 2006.
So is that true? You feel like you couldn't write that novel now, Jaws, knowing what you know?
No, I've got to remember how long ago that was. There was no Earth Day when I was writing that book. There was no environmental consciousness at all. We assumed the oceans were forever. They were invulnerable to man. Nobody could do anything to really hurt the ocean. And so environmental sense really didn't exist, and nobody knew anything about sharks. Now, we still don't know a great deal, but what we do know, I couldn't demonize the animal.
Benchley couldn't have predicted that his novel would be adapted by Steven Spielberg and inadvertently
Wait,
create a summer blockbuster or a...
He just said it right there that it's like, no, it wasn't even entirely about sharks. It was about the fact that
basically there was no conservation efforts because we believed we didn't need to, that the ocean was just too big and had too much in it that we could not do like substantial damage to it.
But yeah, that has nothing to do. And yeah, he's like, I couldn't do it now because now you understand it's not limitless. That's a different context.
The big thing about the ocean is that a lot of people, it's like the one thing that's very hard to explore because it's like the majority of the planet Earth is your seabed. However, the further we realize that a lot of like ocean life is just like very close, the closest to the sea, like to the landscape is where the most of it, because a majority of the ocean is just empty to like in the bottom of it, like in the middle of the centuries. It's just the place that you just occupied is just the place closest to the shoreline, essentially what we realized. And that's why the conservation things just popping up a lot more. And it became kind of like a scared of it because they kind of overreacted a lot to it. But a lot of times they do. And I feel like this is just a political stunt a lot of times for people, especially they who did make Jaws had a lot of eyes on them and a lot of conservation finger-wanging at them. So I feel like it's a political stunt, I feel like, when they do that.
Thank you for the raid, Tim. Also, Crazy Fellas said, so she's taking him out of context. She's not taking him out of context. I don't think she's taking any of this out of context. I genuinely think she's just stupid. Yes. And I know that might come off a little hypocritical because I complained about her in the beginning, accusing her opponents of being stupid. But I'm saying that, like, having listened to her argument, I did not go into this thinking that she was an idiot. I went into this with an open mind. Now, listening to it, I believe she is stupid. I don't believe she's trying to be disingenuous. I don't believe she's trying to fool people. I think she's just an idiot that has not actually thought through her own arguments. Like this, she saw that interview and her takeaway from it was, I can't rag on sharks because I directly ruined the shark population. When in reality, what he's saying is, I don't think I could rag on sharks today because now we know that humans as a whole contribute way more to the damage of the ocean than I thought we did back in the day. It's a much more complex conversation than she wants it to be.
Generation of fear and animosity for a single animal. But he did change his actions in the aftermath, and that is so important. When authors create a story, you have to be conscious of what you are putting out into the world because, unintentional or not, you may end up changing or affirming people's opinion on...
I'm going to pull this up because I think this is a very valid kind of retort to it, right? So chat, this might be cheating a little bit, but I'm going to pull it up anyways. If you believe that the portrayal of sharks in Jaws led to the overfishing of sharks, do you not believe that movies like Meg, which admittedly were not very popular, although I did like it, I thought it was a fun movie, would also lead to an overfishing of sharks? Because the shark horror movie did not go away after Jaws. There have been numerous shark horror movies after Jaws.
The thing is, Misu, you're forgetting that there was also a piranha movie after Jaws as well, right after it.
Yeah, but people don't really interact with piranhas. Like in America.
No, but it's kind of like a people they just don't know about the things, but it's just the most popular thing that people latch on to. The thing is, a lot of people. What do you think the inspiration for Jaws came from? It wasn't like people just looked at a shark. Like, people did die of shark attacks. Like, it is kind of like a scary thing as a big fish, obviously. And they found a good, interesting movie plot line of doing of it, and the general fear people have of the ocean.
Oh my god, sure.
That's why they did it.
Also,
Like,
Dustblight says the other one, Deep Blue Sea. Like, she's acting like after Jaws, people like stopped making shark movies and we stopped hunting
hell no.
sharks.
Oh hell no! that fucking what was she? Is she crazy?
No, like there, people like just pretend this isn't a thing. No, the shark flick continued for many years after. The Meg came out in 2018, which, granted, that's older than I would like it to
I'm
be.
gonna say, if anything, Jaws inspired a lot of people to learn more about sharks. If anything, I think.
Yeah,
It did. No, I think that was also like the thing when he mentioned that interview. He was like, yeah, people didn't know about it then, and now there's conservation efforts.
The thing is, how many people watch movies about sharks and then enjoy watching Shark Week afterwards to learn more about
Shark Week is
high predator things and realizing, oh, they're just curious
You mean
creatures.
the peakest of content?
Yeah, exactly. Better than Alligator Week.
let's continue.
Oh, instantly.
That's right.
On reality.
'Cause I want to finish this in like the next little bit. I'm getting tired.
Okay.
No one is going to be omnipotent, obviously, but this is why it's so important to do research to avoid falling into certain negative tropes or pitfalls. But it's the authorial response to falling into these pitfalls that I think is so important, especially when it comes to how we view and decide to use cancel culture. Because even with the best of intentions, writers are not perfect. And
This
sometimes
was
they will
about
make mistakes,
cancel
not out of
culture.
deliberate-
Yes, this is about cancel culture.
We're 26 minutes in, chat. We're 26 minutes in, chat.
malicious intent, but just ignorance. In The Adventure Zone, which is a Dungeons & Dragons podcast by the McElroy brothers and their dad, which I personally love, in one of the early arcs, the dungeon master, Griffin McElroy, accidentally stumbled into the bury your gaze trope, wherein one of his queer, non-playable characters' story unfortunately ended in tragedy. And when people online told him about how that's kind of a loaded, shitty trope, he literally changed it and made efforts to not let that happen again. And he did, which he couldn't have done if he had been canceled over it.
That's cringe.
That's really stupid, though.
What?
Those kind of tropes are retarded. Because all you're saying is, oh, we're not allowed to have gay people die in a media because we called it a trope now. So it's a bad thing. It's not. Like, what
Trope happens. Wait, Misu, isn't a trope when something happens across multiple medias at a standard rate for a decade, almost to a certain degree, because one thing popularized it and then everyone else did it because it was a very nice hook for a lot of viewers?
It's supposed to. However,
so it becomes a trope.
We had this conversation when me and Dama were doing the movies early on, and we had the magical Negro trope. Where
yeah.
There's
I was there, Misu. What do you mean?
There's a trope called for chat that doesn't know, called the magical Negro, where they claim that in a ton of media, the elderly black man has magical powers, and that it was a very common trope being done across all media. However, if you asked me to name 3 examples of that, I would say Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman.
There's just one guy, one actor.
The one guy from the
trope.
Matrix.
And Neo.
But
that's a stretch.
If you look down the TV tropes page for that, like all the way down, every time it appears, it would say Neo, and then it would say Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption, which was, by the way, not. He wasn't magic. He was a narrator. Don't know why that was included. Morgan Freeman, and was he in Evan Almighty or Bruce Almighty? It's Bruce Almighty, right?
Bruce Almighty. Yeah, Bruce Almighty.
Just every time it was like Morgan Freeman in this, Morgan Freeman in this, Morgan Freeman in this, Morgan Freeman in this.
I think they just had a hate boner toward Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and it's like, this is not a trope that's popular across all media. This is Morgan Freeman specifically has been typecast at this character because of Bruce Almighty and how popular Bruce Almighty was. It is not a historical, long-standing trope. It is Morgan Freeman. Just Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
but they made an entire movie about the trope to try and complain about it. even though it doesn't exist. It's, by the way, they didn't even have Morgan Freeman in the movie, which is just you made a movie about that trope and didn't include Morgan Freeman.
It would be a better movie if he was included, because then you could actually have it would actually be a trope that would actually make sense.
I don't think he would have ever participated in the movie, to be fair.
No, it would be completely rewritten to something else in that case.
Well, yeah, because there's interviews with Morgan Freeman where people ask him, how do you stop racism? And he goes, you stop talking about it and you just treat people as, like, people. It doesn't seem like a product Morgan Freeman would have been wanted to be involved in.
No, and the thing you're referencing is him saying it wasn't like in like early the 20s that he just said it, like 2020, 20s.
Something like that. The most base black people were always Morgan Freeman and Samuel L. Jackson. Morgan Freeman because of his view on life. Samuel L. Jackson because he routinely tried to convince reporters to say the N-word during interviews.
Damn.
It's really funny.
But yeah, I think this girl here, like in this video, she literally, I think a lot of words she uses is a lot of new speak, like a lot of like new people speak, I would say mostly, which is just new generation kind of words she uses, not actual. And I feel like that's the thing she has to work on, and she's trying to reintegrate it a lot of times. I don't know.
Thank you, Internet Zen Master, for the 2. Morpheus, not Neo. Yeah, I realized it after I said it, but you guys know what I meant. The Matrix Black Man. I didn't even really like the Matrix movies, and I know that's a sin to some people, but they're just whatever.
I never watched them.
And then R2D2 Monoloco sent 5 gift memberships. Thank you, much appreciated, and congratulations to the people that got the gift memberships.
The problem with cancel culture is that it removes any possibility of growth. That because of something someone said or did years ago, that they should be punished forever because the internet is timeless. It assumes that all problematic elements are created equally and have been intentionally created when often that is not true. Honestly, I'm not a fan of cancel culture as a whole because it is a complicated action that needs a careful case-by-case examination of each individual circumstances. But it's often used as an almost automatic response to bully anyone for doing something you don't personally like. What I'm hopefully trying to get to the core of here is people shouldn't be canceled over just being ignorant or misinformed or because their work had an unpredictable effect on the people reading it. In Griffin McElroy and in Peter Benchley's case, their actions were unintentional and they made efforts to undo the damage they had done. However, what do you do when an author is deliberately creating a work with malicious content or conduct, when they have been informed of the harm that they are causing and still refuse to change? Well, that's when things start to get a bit messy.
Except the problem is you just say it causes harm. You don't show it causes harm. And if somebody comes up to me and says, you caused harm by doing that, I'm going to say, well, show me how I did or fuck off. Because I don't really give a shit what you say.
Like, I don't know, like, it doesn't feel like she just says a lot without meaning anything at the end of it. Because she just, like, kind of... A lot of times she just make accusations and I just minimize it in the end of it. You just I don't know.
She has every single time post anything proving her own point wrong.
Yep.
Like she kind of backtracks in the end of it, like her own statement. Like her end statement is like agreeable, and then the thing in between all of it, I just feel like it's just like, what the fuck are you on about?
Yes. Death of the author is a term coined in a 1967 essay by Roland Barthes, which, to put it very simply, means that the authorial intent should have no impact on an audience's reading or interpretation of a text. Which, frankly, I think people have been over-employing this idea lately because it's easy. It takes all of the responsibility off of the reader to do anything.
It was actually stupid the day it was made, and it was stupid that you guys continued it for so long.
Yeah.
The death of the author was never a good idea because it posits that media has no actual intent behind it that matters. In reality, when somebody makes a piece of media, they have their own intent. There is an objectively correct reading of any piece of art, and it is the reading that the artist had when they made it.
Any further research or to examine a text outside of their own worldview. Much like canceling, I think death of the author cannot be used as a catch-all. It needs to be applied in a case-by-case basis. Like, H.P. Lovecraft was racist even for the time he was born in, but he's dead. Buying or engaging with his work is probably going to be harmless. By
First off, that has
What?
nothing to do with death of the author. Second off, for his time, H.P. Lovecraft was
not
progressive.
Like H.P. Lovecraft was schizophrenic. Like that's the thing you can take out of it.
He
Like
was schizophrenic, but
the thing is,
he
people
did
latch
have
onto
like
it because they
some.
use this new think about it. Like they use our current like view on racism now to apply it to him right then. That's the issue people are going with. They need to think how it works back in the day. That's the issue they have a lot of times.
Yeah,
And I think she's fault to it right now as well.
But no, two things. First off, this has nothing to do with death of an author, because there's basically nothing in almost every piece of media of his. There's almost nothing that could be considered heavily racist, because he focuses very heavily on the creatures to a degree and how they affect people's minds. He doesn't really involve politics or race relations in his work, or he did. I mean, he didn't. He's dead now. Second off, yes, he was racist. No, he wasn't more racist for the time. In fact, for the time, he was fairly progressive as far as race relations go. And he had basically completely stopped being racist at all by the time he had died.
Like, the thing is, like you said, like there's nothing in his work that was like, maybe to pull inspiration from his, like if you want to pull it that way, that he was racist and he just pulled inspiration from it, but none of it resembles the fucking things they took inspiration from in that case. Like it was only his thoughts that he just pulled into it in that case from the people from the depths kind of thing. It was more like the villagers from some other places. No, like you gotta bring it to such a stretch where you need to know him personally to know what the fuck he was talking about in that case. Which means you're polling for stuff just for the sake of polling for it. I don't trust anyone who's using Lovecraft for these kind of arguments, because that means you coming in with an agenda a lot of times when you're trying to do it. Same with people who try to drag in Tolkien, but even Tolkien has a lot more kind of talks about this. And even he just put it down, sorry.
Giving your money and support to a person who you know to be racist, it's going to his estate or whatever. You can read the text not knowing the name of his cat, Google at your own risk, and enjoy the iconic horror. But you may still end up surprised when confronted by racially loaded aspects that are in the text.
They're not.
Foreign disease brought from China. How is that racially loaded?
I think it's accurate today. Like, what do you mean?
It's not even remotely racial. They are grasping at straws here.
Like that's the kind of issue I see with this girl right now. Like it's kind of like I have a opinion about a thing, and now let me just pull whatever the thing I can find to just make the stretch for work.
I love that this woman has absolutely zero idea about any historical context. Because look at what she highlighted last. The queer ports in Africa, Asia, and the South Seas. Queer kinds of people they sometimes brought back with them. Honey, queer meant weird back in the day. It literally had nothing to do with gay people back then.
It still means queer today if you ask people in the queer community. What do you mean?
It still means that. It never stopped meaning that.
You highlighted this, and I know you highlighted this because you think he's talking about them being gay. Back in the day, it meant weird.
The issue is a lot of these people do not read history. They kind of stop at that, like trying to figure out like how the kind of world kind of actually looked from their moral landscape, or like what word used to mean back then. You look at a certain lens from today and you just apply it everywhere else. It's kind of like playing Yu-Gi-Oh, should I say, using a rule set for today for all the rules that happened beforehand, and you just go by that. It's kind of like that kind of thing.
Just by the way, chat, this is the woman who looked you in the eyes at the start of this video and said you were too stupid to understand what she was talking about last time.
They should actually say that.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Also, Internet Zen Master for 10, Lovecraft unironically had several minority friends later in life. Any sort of race stuff was just him working in his fear of the unknown, foreign as window dressing for his stories. Yeah, Lovecraft had like lots of weird issues that were more a part of like his fears than like any necessary like prejudice.
Roy, don't you think Muse is racist?
As author, then I also have to mention J.K. Rowling, which I know.
Yeah, he's based for it.
I am also sick of hearing and talking about this. I promise I will keep it quick.
she does not know what death of the author means. Have we?
Most people don't know what it means.
Yeah, like
She has never mentioned it. I think I don't actually know what fully it means, but that's me being so
death
like
of the author says
not drunk
that
here.
the intended meaning of a piece of art by the author does not matter. What matters is the meaning the viewer takes away from the piece.
What?
They're essentially saying that the idiot on the side of the road said that this
If I
Whatever
read
X is
if
about.
I read a story and the story is about how communism is bad, that doesn't actually matter if the meaning I personally took out of it is that, you know,
communism good.
Meaning
racism
is
bad.
subjective. I don't care about it, man.
Yeah. It's basically saying your subjective interpretation is more important than what the author intended to write. How she's using it
retarded.
is you shouldn't care about the author, you should just enjoy what they made. That is a completely different concept. That has nothing to do with death of the author. And it's weird that she is getting this wrong because she read the definition of death of the author at the start of this section and she got it right then. So I don't know why she doesn't know what it is
Okay,
now.
Mizu, if she's wrong about this many things, then what?
Because everything she puts on the screen to prove her point, and she just proves herself wrong.
I feel
time.
like Mizu, you know, when someone is trying to actively look for a thing, they want to be, they have a like they've been, you know, looking at Twitter probably, and just they've scrolled a lot, and then they just getting agitated about something, and then just look it up, and just like rolling with the things that whatever they get without like the headlines is rolling with it. I feel like that's kind of what she's going with, but she feel like she's doing the heavy research because she read 2 sentences. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Frog Jupiter for 2. HP was racist. Stop it. I already like him. Wolf Spain for 5. This is the last one, but diseases have historically came from China. A big one was the Spanish flu, and arguably the bubonic plague was from China. And Internet Zen Master for 5. Lovecraft was literally using the same racial trope that was in every Penny Dreadful setting. His writing wasn't unique in that regard. Yeah, that's my thing with Lovecraft, is anyone who says Lovecraft was uniquely bad for the time actually has no idea of what was being produced at the time.
like all
If
of
you
these
just
people that think they have something just don't, because they just read one type of media and just apply like the new stuff, like in today's politics against without actually comparing it to what was written back in those days at all. Like Mizu mentioned,
Examine the text of Harry
It's
Potter.
just
You're not going
crazy.
to find anything really offensive in there. In hindsight, there are some interesting things worth noting, like the stairs to the Gryffindor girls' dorm forcibly denying entry to any biological male students, which would that exclude trans women and non-binary folks if it's only going by biological gender? And there is no non-gendered word for magical person,
Yes.
only the binary witch or wizard. Knowing nothing of J.K. Rowling's personal opinions, you
Because
could
that was
probably
not a-
enjoy Harry Potter guilt-free.
it
However,
was not a conversation before.
Nobody cares.
No one literally cared about it. This is his thing.
I'm not going to go down like this whole
2005,
conversation with her. Nobody gave a shit about this. Literally no one gave a
2005, no one
shit.
even knew. 99% of people did not even fucking know what a trans person was. Even then, they were called hermaphrodites back then. Like,
No, that was a separate thing. I'm not going down this conversation. No, I'm not going down this conversation. It does not matter.
Roll like that.
No, I'm not going down this conversation. It does not matter. All I will say is that I'm surprised of all the things she could have brought up. She did not bring up that there is exactly one Asian student in Hogwarts, and their name is some shit like Ching Chong.
Oh, God.
But she brought up this. She did not bring up the fact that she made one Asian kid and their name is like Ching Chong or some shit. It really is that generically racist.
It is a stretch because back in, like, J.K. Rowling is probably pulled this a lot from her own like upbringing, and a lot of people back then, like, his thing, the things you write today, like a lot
Cho
of his
Chang, thank you. It's Cho Chang.
Cho Chang. Oh my.
But no, we're not going down this whole conversation. I'm gonna just continue because we're almost done.
Oh,
We
like,
had to
yeah,
have been living
yeah.
under a rock to have not have heard about her recent transphobic tweets that started as late back as December in 2019 and then culminated in a string of her doubling down in June of 2020. Because that was what we needed in June of 2020. A millionaire author telling trans people that she would be on their side if they were being discriminated against. What do you mean if? You are literally discriminating against them right now on the basis of them being trans. I'm not going to unpack everything she said. That's not what this video is about. If you want to know more, Lindsay Ellis and ContraPoints have both made excellent videos about this already. J.K. Rowling being a TERF, a
Threw up in my mouth
trans...
a little bit.
Fun fact, ContraPoints was never going to medically transition. They only did after they got mass harassment from their own community for not being a real trans person for not transitioning.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, I find it
That's
funny whenever
disgusting.
somebody brings up ContraPoints because they're a perfect example of why the internet trans community is kind of a piece of shit.
Horrendous.
Also, thank you, Frog Jupiter, for the two super chats. My favorite leftist claim is that JK was antiseptic because you mean anti-Semitic because of goblins.
The thing is,
Oh, I remember that
J.K.
one.
Rowling seems extremely progressive during her time, like all the times throughout until 2015, like until
Milo
2017.
Stewart
I would say.
detransition? That's fucking wild.
Yo.
Like the whole
Exclusionary
thing,
radical
people did a 180 on J.K. Rowling until like 2019. That's when they did 180.
Anyways,
That's a
feminist
that's
and
a story
using
for a different
platform of
day.
millions of people to
Yes.
demonize trans women. By doing this, by spewing hate speech towards trans people under the thinly veiled guise of scientific evidence and feminism, she is putting a marginalized group who are already in a vulnerable position more at risk. Statistically, trans women were already more likely to be victims of assault because of transphobia. And J.K. Rowling's tweets are normalizing and excusing that behavior to millions of people. Between 2019 and 2020, anti-trans hate crimes have increased 16% according to the UK's Home Office. This surge can be attributed to an increase in reporting, but it is also influenced by the increasing hostility.
I would like to point out that the actual number of trans hate crimes that year was something like 60. So an increase of
Grand total.
16% is like 4 people.
And can we look at how much increase in the hate crime, like or just violence crimes overall? We're not gonna look at that.
No, she doesn't understand any of that. But I'm not going
No.
down like the whole political thing with her. She's just
No.
dumb. She has not read any of this, and she doesn't understand what she's talking
Like
about.
it's like I feel like this is just a kid. Like legitimately, how old is this girl? Like she
She's like in
can't be
her
that
30s
old.
at the time this was made, which was years ago.
30s.
Anyways, we're gonna continue.
In UK-wide media towards trans identity and communities. And knowing all of this, I cannot support her. To be clear, I am not going to harass her. I'm just not going to engage with anything she makes. And I'm not going to spend money on her work because one of the charities she supports could be anti-trans, and I don't want to even indirectly contribute to harming trans people. I loved Harry Potter as a child, but I'm not a child anymore, and I care more about trans rights than I do about a book about wizards. Alright, so hopefully I'm starting to make my point clear here about why this is so important, and why the decision to use cancel culture is a spectrum that should be used carefully. If you think about it as a line chart, then dead people would be in the middle. Like, nothing is going to happen if you cancel them. You can enjoy their work, but you may want to know ahead of time if they were an asshole just so you aren't surprised by it.
We call this argument, there are no bad tactics, only bad targets. She is actively advocating for cancel culture in this video. She has now established that. She is just trying to say that we are using it on the wrong targets. Also, Internet's MS for 10, under the thinly veiled guise of scientific evidence. Realities, you winch. If the science disagrees with you, you don't get to dispute it. That's what your side keeps telling us.
And on the far left, I would put people who literally have done nothing wrong. And then next to that, I would put people who did a bad thing, but unintentionally, and they tried to fix it afterwards. Griffin McElroy and Peter Benchley would be here. Oh, and also Nintendo during the Jinx controversy and the Porygon episode accidentally triggering seizures. Like, they messed up, but they completely took responsibility for their actions and changed them in the future to try and repair the damage as best as they could. And then we get to the midpoint where this person was kind of a dickhead, but he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Like, you gotta use your own personal judgment for these. Like, is canceling them even worth it? Will it accomplish anything? Is the book that they wrote still perpetuating harmful ideologies? I don't know. Then finally, on the right side, we get to a person did or said a bad thing a long time ago. Again, you have to consider the context of when the statement or action was made. If it was brought to light, did they apologize sincerely? Are they in a position of power? Because maybe they shouldn't be. And then
I have no idea why she's using a silent voice for like all of her background shots for this.
I think it's
because everyone
because
loves it.
Other than the fact
I
that he
think-
was like a piece of shit bully. But
Yeah, I think that's the only reason. But
like it's just really dumb that she's insisting on using this.
I feel like it's just a bad, like, cause I like the silent voice. It was a good movie.
And next to that, I would put people who are promoting hate speech or donating money to hate groups. People like J.K. Rowling and Orson Scott Card actively being transphobic and homophobic are hurting the LGBT community and they shouldn't be supported. And then all the way on the right, where this person absolutely should be canceled, is people who do a actual crime, like the author of Rurouni Kenshin.
That's not canceling, honey. That's prison. Fucking hate when people do this. It's like, you know how you should be canceling criminals? No, we should be putting them in jail. Because they're criminals who committed a crime. Dumbass.
So this is a girl who lives like a 14-year-old. What do you mean?
Also, Internet Zen Master for 5. Oh my god, she's unironically a Fujo movie bob. Holy shit. And Frog Jupiter for 2. I like how she put did no wrong on the far left. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, like
possessing 100 DVDs of child porn. Or Tatsuya Matsuki, the writer of the manga Act Age, groping a middle schooler. Alright, so I don't know how much clearer I have to be about my opinion on this issue. When an author you liked is a crime, and I mean like a crime that hurts people, not something like shoplifting or embezzlement or whatever, you should withdraw your support.
You know, when they do a crime that I think is bad, not like, you know, little crimes that I think are okay, like robbing people, and robbing people on a bigger scale. You know, I just, you know, when they do really bad crimes.
It's arbitrary, however she puts it.
Like, say mean words on the internet.
Support from them because, like it or not, if you don't, you are supporting the behavior that crimes are okay if that person is famous enough. You may have heard a version of silence is a form of approval used in reference to social reform. There's a version attributed to Plato. There's a version commonly incorrectly attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but is actually by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, an American author and poet. To sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards of men. But my favorite is by Martin Luther King Jr. from his speech on the war in Vietnam. A time comes when silence is betrayal. I cannot, under any circumstances, understand how people still try to separate the art from the artist in circumstances like Nobuhiro Watsuki, the author of Rurouni Kenshin, after knowing what he's done. Why would you still want to read anything this guy made after knowing that? Why would his story be more important to you than his consumption of media of children being sexually abused? Please try to conduct yourself with a little bit more empathy.
She doesn't understand pirating is a thing you do.
She also doesn't understand empathy.
Yeah.
I don't think she has. I don't know. I feel like she.
It's just fiction, not reality, is comforting. It is easy to think that there is no harm being caused by the media you are consuming because to you personally, it may not feel like there is any harm done. Anecdotal evidence like you watched a murder mystery and did in fact not murder anyone misses the point because the problem is not the individual impact, it is the collective. Most people who watched Birth of a Nation were not impacted, but some of them were, enough to cause the resurgence of the KKK. I think that—
What?
It's not about the individual, it's about the collective. Except in this case where it didn't affect the collective at all and only affected a select group of individuals. Literally back-to-back statements from her. And she thinks both of them are 100% in line with each other. This is why we need to repeal the, what is it, the 15th? Is the 15th the women voting one?
Yeah.
Repeal the 15th.
To a lot of anime fans, this is a very uncomfortable reality, which is what makes it hard to accept. Nobody wants to believe that a show they are watching ended up contributing to the normalization of child abuse or general sexism, because if they are an American—
The 19th. Thank you, chat. I'm too gay to be a proper woman hater.
they did not see it affect them, and unless they are willing to do research and look further into it, they won't see how it's impacted.
Also, I would like to point out that I said the wrong thing, and literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
oh my God, it's
13
still happening.
people corrected me on it was the 19th Amendment.
It's still happening. Oh, there's another one. There's Big Berry. It's 8. There's 20.
Yeah, but they're just they're voicing their support for me. Everybody else is correcting me.
Japan either. It's easy enough for some guy to dismiss my argument by making a comment about how Japan has one of the lowest accounts of rape, so the repeated fetishy depictions of assault in super popular anime like Goblin Slayer or Sword Art Online is totally fine. And yes, that is a true statistic that is easily Googleable, but it is a misleading statistic if you aren't willing to do any more follow-up research.
Because if you did, you would find articles describing that Japan's rape statistics actually increased by 27% in just the first half of 2018, reaching more than 1.3 thousand cases. The reason for this being is
Wait. Can we pause there for a second?
Oh my lord.
1.3 thousand cases is so astronomically low compared to literally the world.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's good. It's just
It's like, here's the thing. I mean,
Her argument
Yeah.
is that if it increased this one year, it will increase by that same rate every single year. Which is, when you are dealing with small numbers, like Japan has, that is not how that works.
here's the thing. I think the issue with this girl is that she looks for such a narrow scope. She doesn't really understand all these other moving parts that goes around to all of these other things. She's trying to attribute
it's
it
her
all to.
entire thing is confirmation bias. That's her entire thing. She's looking.
Yeah, and it's just insufferable to fucking hear. And her like doing the finger wag like from such a high pious point of view. Like obviously, it's kind of like the thing. I feel like it's a kid talking because a lot of kids or someone who's very new to a new media does not see the end of the road from the ways they're looking at. They just see. Do you think it's very like minuscule because they don't understand like how far away it actually is?
Well, here,
Meanwhile,
give
if
me
you
a
actually
sec.
know.
Let's, because I have to point
online
this
is
out.
totally fine. And yes, that is a true statistic that is easily Googleable, but it is a misleading statistic if you aren't willing to do any more follow-up research. Because if you did, you would find articles describing that Japan's rape statistics actually increased by 27% in
So the amount of reported rapes went up 27%. Let's see what law changed.
just the first half of 2018, reaching more than 1.3 thousand cases. The reason for this being is back in 2017,
Notice one of the things included on this, the definition of rape was also broadened to include male victims. You included another 50% of society in your definition, and the amount of rapes only went up 27%.
So she's not making good arguments. What make you think she will actually understand legal or like
Because you just doubled
two-dimensional things of it.
the pool of people who can be affected by this by 100%. And you only saw a 27% increase in reports.
Me, so this is the same girl who probably look at the statistics saying 40% of what was it, crimes are made towards women, and you just complain about it, like society being hateful towards women while ignoring the rest of the rest of the other percentage is going. Okay,
the
yes, because the other one
definition
sounds
for rape in
high.
Japan was strictly only defined as forced vaginal intercourse, but it was updated to include other forms of sexual assault and also men as rape victims.
Oh, well,
Which
He
up until that
literally
point had been
mentions
excluded
it.
entirely. The revision also eliminated a requirement that the victim needed to file a criminal complaint before a case could be prosecuted. All this to say, it's not that Japan magically had less rape cases, it's that they were being underreported. When addressing these kinds of issues, you also have to consider that Japan has a long history of personal
Just so
That's a
you
bit
know, even after the definition change, which is basically all-inclusive and in line with the rest of the world, it's still way lower than the rest of the world, and your own fucking chart showed that.
girl, we don't want to bring Sweden into this the thing.
for popular
Just
anime like
letting you-
Goblin Slayer or Sword Art Online is totally fine. And yes, that is a true statistic that is easily Googleable, but it is a misleading statistic if you aren't willing to do any more follow-up research. Because if you did, you would find articles describing that Japan's rape statistics actually increased by 27% in just the first half of 2018, reaching more than 1.
Girl, you go back to math school, I swear to fucking god.
It's 1.3. It's so low compared to everywhere else in the world.
1.3 thousand
Those-
cases.
The rest of the
reason
world
for
is
this
spending.
being is
It's
back in
really increased by
2017, the definition
200%.
for
What
rape
if?
in Japan
What
was
does she mean?
strictly only
Yeah, that's
defined.
crazy.
Here, da-da-da-da.
Like, it's kind of. It's also like the whole. It's easier to also fucking document these kind of things as well over time. It's like.
For
It's like-
comparison,
it's kinda
and I understand that we need to keep in mind per capita because Japan is a smaller country than the US. In the US, in 2016, which is the same year she's using for Japan, 95,730 rapes were reported.
Yes.
And you're comparing that to 1.3K. And you're being like,
Yes.
that 1.3K, that is a devastating number. That is so massive. Japan just has a rampant problem going on. You're an idiot, woman.
Meanwhile, the rest of the world.
as forced vaginal intercourse, but it was updated.
Oh, also, sorry, I'll pull yours up. Frog Jupiter. Da, 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 da. Frog Jupiter for 5. She's pro-theft and therefore slavery for what is embezzlement and shoplifting, if not stealing the time and labor to produce them. To take my TV is 5 months of my life I took to buy it. Nasco for 2. ATP, I see people talking about empathy as a red flag, kind of is. Michael Hermanos for 2. Other Africa country who have really pedo problem. And then Frog Jupiter for 5. Japan male feminism SA rates are increasing. The Kurdish migration are also increasing at the same time. I wonder why. Are the Kurds doing something? Like, she really has no idea of the wider historical context of what's going on in these societies at all. And Internet Zen Master for 10. Dumbest thing about her invoking bad touch in anime is that outside of doujins, majority of characters who do are villains and monsters, aka the bad guys. It's literally kicking the dog behavior. Yeah, so I've complained about it before, and I'm not going to complain about it again. But the Sword Art Online one is, I honestly think, a way for the writer to turn his villains into, like, hated villains very quickly because he is a bad writer. I do not think he is trying to normalize anything. I do not agree with people who say he does it because he hates women. I think in his mind, he is going, my villain isn't hated enough. What can I do to make people hate my villain? Oh, people really hate rapist. I'll just make him a rapist, and then people will hate him how I want them to.
Mizu, he literally just watched Berserk and just said, oh, people hate Griffith with a burning passion.
Yep. But he missed
so let me just redo that quite cheaply.
Yeah.
No, they read Berserk. I missed the point of Berserk of why he bad. he's not just bad because the rape. He's bad for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the visual impact of just immoral character. Well, immoral things that character does for the sake of immorality.
What do you mean?
They're comedically bad characters. So
also, we're almost there. Almost done.
To include other forms of sexual assault and also men as rape victims, which up until that point had been excluded entirely. The revision also eliminated a requirement that the victim needed to file a criminal complaint before a case could be prosecuted.
I honestly don't know how that works. How can you make it to where you don't actually have to have somebody file a complaint in order for there to be a case? My only guess is that this is in cases where the victim was killed. But in Japan especially, that's even lower than the already low rates of this happening. So it's kind of weird.
It's kind of his thing in Japan. There's quite a lot of people live in Japan. Like compared to I live in Sweden where we have 10 million people. So anywhere it's a lot of people.
We can't keep looping.
Sorry.
All this to say, it's not that Japan magically had less rape cases, it's that they were being underreported. When addressing these kinds of issues, you also have to consider that Japan has a long history of personal shame culture that tends to blame incidents like these as some kind of personal failing of the victim. In 2016, a government survey indicated that nearly a third of Japanese women have been subjected to sexual harassment at the workplace, including inappropriate touching and unwarranted advances. Nearly 2/3 did not make any complaint about their harassment, either formal or informal, and approximately 1 in 10 who did complain were penalized for having done so, including suffering demotion. And again, I am not talking about this because I think America is some bastion of moral integrity, or because I want to shut down this one commenter, but I am just so tired of people desperately trying to make arguments about things that they know nothing about, and aren't even willing to do any more research into it, or even change their viewpoint when confronted with new evidence.
Yeah, like you.
She made a whole video.
You know absolutely nothing about what you're talking about, and you're just making shit up as you go because you read one article and you've decided you understand a completely foreign country's entire culture because you read one article that was written by some British dude who also does not understand their entire country and culture.
There's a lot of guesswork in this one.
It's a lot of projection.
I feel like truth coming out of the well to shame mankind.
Why? I am going to get in trouble for that.
Such uncomfortable topics. No one really wants to talk about it, let alone listen.
She did on
a
purpose.
platform like YouTube, which has historically pushed women out of the creative space for, voicing their opinions. The horror.
I might have
Many
to cut
people just
that
use
out.
anime as an escape from reality, and they aren't thinking critically about the deeper ramifications of the media they are consuming. They just want to see someone get punched in all its beautiful animated glory. And if that's the case, just use piracy, please. If you really want to separate the art from the artist, just don't give.
Most people do use piracy in the anime space. You would
I
know
just-
this if you had any involvement in the anime space.
It's just crazy to me that, yeah, because she's not there. It's like that's what most people do when they read. Most people suggest if you want to read Rurouni Kenshin to pirate it. They don't recommend buying it.
I refuse to believe this woman is over 30.
Look, I bought most of Rurouni Kenshin long before it came out, so I just own physical copies of it before that all came out, like 2010, because I think it was long finished by then.
Yeah, it's old.
So I own it already. I can't unbuy them.
Frog Jupiter for 5. Fun fact: unlike Japan, Korea bans porn and I guess you mean hentai with digital ID. Both Korea and the Korean diaspora living in Japan are committing SA at higher rates. You know, Korea has a lot of problems. It probably has the worst gender divide in the entire world currently. Pretty bad. And they don't allow porn at all in that country, so good luck with whatever argument you're making on this one.
Give them your money, at least. Also, to touch one last time on Dragon Maid, and then I never want to think about this again. I know the animation industry is hell, and I know KyoAni is still recovering from the damage caused by the arson attack, and if you want to support the anime production team, because in truth, the content of what they are adapting is not their fault, and the only way to do that right now is to watch Dragon Maid S, then sure, yes, absolutely do that if that's what you think is right. Life is complicated, and there is no one right way to live it. We just have to do the best we can with what we have. Since media does have an effect on reality, and the things that an author says or does can create real harm in the world, then as consumers, how are we supposed to engage with media? If we cannot blindly enjoy everything, must we cancel everything? No. What? No. What? At what point did I ever even... How would you reach that conclusion? The thing is, in life, you're going to come across a lot of shit you don't like, and you're going to have to make compromises. Unless you're a white cis het man, like I mentioned in my isekai video, you have to compromise to enjoy the majority of media you interact with.
This is going to be a wild statement to you. This is going to blow your mind, lady. I can watch media with a female-led character, and I don't have to put aside anything to enjoy that media. Because unlike you, and unlike the people who think like you, I am not a massive racist sexist who can only enjoy media that has people that look like me. And it is shocking to me that you and all the people like you will openly say that I have to make compromises to watch media that does not feature white women, and you don't immediately hear yourself say that and go, that sounds kind of racist and sexist now that I think about it. Why can't I enjoy media that has, like, a black male lead? Why do I have to make a compromise for that? It's because you're fucking weird. Guys don't have to do that.
I think here's the thing. The issue is that a lot of people have these kind of thoughts, and a lot of women. I feel like the issue is, and I gotta be honest, a lot of them just gets away with these opinions a lot of times because they can get away with having these opinions because no one is gonna call them out on it. A lot of times. A lot of guys will never call out a woman on these opinions if they're in the right type of groups, which girls usually surround themselves or love having a lot of sympathy guys around them. So they're never getting called out about this ever. And I feel like if you know Bill Burr joke, why no one when he made a joke, why girls have such bad ideas a lot of times, and because especially when there are guys around, because all the guys, if you know the joke, you know the joke.
Internet Zen Master for 5, Rurouni Kenshin from the era of anime/manga is Inuyasha. If any of the author is still locked up, the money's going to the publisher at this point. No. I admittedly do not know enough about how Japanese stuff works to know where the money goes. I do know that they do not have the same system of royalties and residuals as America does. I think they can sometimes have it, but sometimes I believe they just kind of do Japan is really big on just blanket purchases of stuff, as opposed to the way America typically does it with the royalties, residuals, and things like that. Which is why a lot of times when they give licensing rights to America, they just give like a blanket, you pay this much, you get it for this many years, have fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
At best, you'll be underrepresented, or worse, represented in a way that drives you fucking nuts. There are things that really bother me in Hero Academia. I don't like that Mineta is basically a walking plot device to create fan service of the girls. I don't like that the default for female heroes tends to be sexy, and I don't like that the girls never get as much limelight as the boys. But I know this show was made for teenage boys, and the pros generally outweigh the cons for me. I know myself, and I know I can engage with media critically, and I know that I'm not going to accidentally start objectifying women after watching Hero Academia, which is why at the end of the day, I cannot tell you what is good or bad. You've got to use your own judgment. With something like Studio Trigger's work or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, my expectations going in have to be a little bit different because of the kind of off-the-wall storytelling they encompass. I can't hold Araki's work from 1987 to the same standard as the 2000s or even now because the landscape they were made in is completely different. Problematic is a vague word that is used in a very broad way.
Now we use it
Not
all
words that are
too
being
good.
openly racist or sexist or transphobic. But referring to any of these things as merely problematic is kind of like referring to a dumpster fire as, ooh, that's a little bit toasty. If something is problematic, it means that there's a problem. It may be a small problem you're willing to overlook, or it may not even be obvious until you examine the context around it. Or personally, it may not even bother you at all. But you should still know that it's there. And if someone tells you a thing is a problem, maybe don't shut them down immediately, and also do your ding-dang research. Canceling someone sounds...
Maybe if someone tells you something isn't a problem, look at their perspective and don't immediately go, well, I arbitrarily declared it was a problem already, so I don't have to think about what anyone else thinks. It's like
Things aren't just,
her entire
you want to think about
existence is, I am right about everything, and no one is allowed to disagree with me, and if you disagree with me, you're stupid and you're wrong. But I would never say something like that, because I believe we all should all listen to each other.
Yeah, because she kind of like walked back, or like she has a hard statement in the beginning, but then just walks it back. It's like, as you mentioned before, like in the end, I think we all should listen to each other in the end. Just trying to be cordial in the end of it.
her entire everything she has said is like a thing to be like, oh, do this, is all just been backtracked every single time.
Yeah, like that's kind of thing that annoys me because it's kind of like, okay, so you have you showing you can potentially have these standards, but why do you not have these standards when you're making these arguments before? Like, do you not have any standards at all on your high arguments?
Not.
And
she does
like the arguments she would make would be better because now, like, I'm just sitting confused. I have no idea what the fuck she's on about.
She has no argument ever. So go.
We got like 3 minutes left. We're almost there.
So final and terrible. I think in part because some people do use canceling as an excuse for online harassment, which do not do that. Cannot understate that enough. I do not care what they did. Never send anyone death threats. But really, if you're wondering if you should cancel someone, all you have to do is just not engage with their work in a way that monetarily supports them. I loved Rurouni Kenshin as a child, and I loved Harry Potter, but I can't love them anymore, and that's fine. I would ask yourself, what really do you lose by choosing not to engage with a piece of media? In the end, after all, it's just fiction, not reality. You've lost one story that you will no longer finish. It may seem hard at first, but there are billions of other stories out there that haven't been written by racists.
The flip side is, if I don't give it up, why do you care so much? Because you're like, oh, the fiction doesn't affect reality, you can just give it up then, right? Also, if fiction doesn't affect reality, I don't have to give it up. And that's the part of your argument you're not... It reminds me of people that post that fucking meme where they're like, well, like Jesus said, you should be nice to the immigrants or something.
Oh, God damn it.
And everybody always posts the meme back at them that's, yeah, I have nothing but contempt for your backwards religious beliefs, but maybe if I bring it up, you'll just agree with me. That's kind of what this comes off like, is, well, you believe fiction doesn't affect reality, so you should have no problem giving up problematic media. Or, because I believe fiction doesn't affect reality, I don't have to give it up. Because I don't think it matters. Your argument doesn't work on me, and this, like, stupid roundabout, like, oh, you gotta agree with me now, don't you? It doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on anybody. You guys actually think this shit works? Trust me, it doesn't.
For actual criminals. I can lead you to the water. I can tell you where the water comes from, that humans need water to live, why it's important to conserve water and keep it clean. But I cannot make you drink the water. You gotta make that choice for yourself. Hey y'all! I see that there are more than you than last time. To the new subscribers or the people who started following me after the Dragon Maid video and got this far, hi, welcome. Yes, the irony of me briefly mentioning that I hoped the Dragon Maid video was not your first video of mine, being the thing that introduced what is now the majority of my subscribers, is not lost on me. Also, I really am not exaggerating when I say that your support makes this all worth it. Like, I mean, not to get too real or behind the scenes or anything, but I've had my YouTube channel for almost a year and a half now with, what I would call a decent modicum of success. But at the rate I was going, if something like this hadn't happened soon, I would have had to have quit. So thank you, genuinely. The next video of mine is...
I wish she did. But to point out, at the time she was making videos, she would not have had to quit. I think I've mentioned this with my chat for a while. I don't understand how these YouTubers are not making money. Because just looking at how much money I get from ads on streams that only get 2,000 views, it's a lot. And then you'll have these people that'll put out one video and they'll make 140, 150, 160k views. And they'll be like, God, this YouTube thing just isn't working out. It's just not enough. How?
They're expecting to be millionaires.
I've talked about before. I make enough off just doing YouTube now that I have basically doubled my income.
Yeah.
I could actually quit my job and live off YouTube if I really wanted to.
They probably also don't live within their means and don't understand how to actually live like they've had nothing.
Yeah, but then you get these people who are 50, 60, 70 times my size and God, the money just isn't there. Where is it? What are you spending it
on?
on?
We doing the Cinder draw thing while we talked about, what was it? Nanoless. I think a lot of when people see big money on the check, they just see a lot more spending money. I think a lot of times.
And it's saving money.
Because I don't. No, here's me. But the issue is a lot of people just mentally just sees more money in the pocket, so they're just willing to spend it more or just live more fruitfully. No, the first thought is not. Obviously, they might think of saving it, but that's easier said than done. I think a lot of them are they're just more willing to spend it. So I feel
it's really easy.
No. I'm telling you guys. I've been working with a lot of other people. A lot of other people who live in these kind of scenarios. A lot of them are willing to spend money if they have it more in their pocket. Otherwise, they would probably do this more often.
No, I was.
If they're not used to having a lot of money, monthly money in the pocket and or they're living good, then they're probably gonna waste their money in the first time they get it, or live fruitfully and then just realize, oh shit, I'm fucked.
Also, I think that's about all she's talking about, though.
Yeah, but that's all I really had for tonight, chat. I will touch on that other person's video at some point in the future.
Mizu?
Uh-huh.
Can we rate Scum? They're doing their podcast.
Can you link it to me? Because for some reason it's
Scum,
not showing up on my thing.
Nope, I'm on.
Scum has the best face for content. I'm not gonna lie.
Also,
I love Scum.
Really quick, I want to thank, I got 5 new subscribers this video. I wish YouTube would tell me who it was, but I admittedly don't really know where to find that. But thank you if you're one of those 5 people. Much appreciated to have you here. To everyone else, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, because YouTube is really gay about that for some reason.
True.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's on
You gonna
Twitch.
shout out your co-host? Oh no, he's got YouTube as well, actually.
And link me to YouTube.
I'm grabbing it. I told you I was grabbing it.
I don't need the Twitch one, because the Twitch one, it's just /raid and then name. YouTube is the one where I need the actual link. Also, Internet to Master for 5. Yes, but you're you, Mizu. You're the crazy puddle person who terrifies half the VTubing sphere. Most people aren't as intelligent /frugal as you. I'm not frugal.
Actually, no, he's not.
I buy a whole thing of rice every 3 months.
Here's the thing. I don't understand why people calling you horrific or because you're the most lovable person I've ever met in the VTuber sphere. What do you mean?
People are scared of me.
Oh,
You're so sweet. I don't get it.
50-pound bag.
Apparently, he is not live streaming because YouTube likes to break him. He has to edit all this stuff. So just the Twitch.
It's in analytics in YouTube Studio. Possible audience, maybe.
And then that's his podcast channel, but it's not there because I think they're having issues with it right now.
Or are they not live on YouTube?
Yeah, apparently he I asked him really quick in the DMs. It's apparently he has to do a lot of editing before they're putting a new channel for it. So just YouTube for now.
Okay, so that's why it didn't show up. Anyways, everybody be good. Tomorrow night's movie night on the Discord if you want to drop by and hang out. I will possibly cover that other video later on the week, not on Anituber audits. Maybe I'll call it like Anituber Audit Minis or something.
Yeah.
But you guys be good. We'll see you later. Don't forget to follow Royan and Atari if you have a chance. Link to
Hello,
Discord.
it's me.
I think. What is it? Is it just
Exclamation point Discord.
I spelled it wrong.
I got it.
Too late. I already got it. Fixed it.
I was mid-typing it.
Let me
Goodbye,
make sure.
chat.
Is that the right one? That is the right one. Awesome. Night, everybody. Sending you all
Bye-bye.
away. On YouTube, I'm sending you to one of those VTubers I found the other day. They are currently doing a magic-only run of Elden Ring, which, admittedly, easier than it sounds. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Me's gonna punish me.